This year in the FBS, there was only one team that finished with 0 wins, and that was Kent State. And with a recent history like this, with many seasons with 3 wins or less, they're just begging to be rebuilt. And to make it more challenging, we are going to be rebuilding them in the SEC, with a lot of teams that are in the top 25. And as a team that went 0-12 last season, we definitely need to get a lot of guys on this board that are really going to help us in the future. And with most of the recommended players being 2-star players, I think this is going to be a bit of a tough rebuild. But since one of the benefits of being in the SEC is that we have that conference prestige at a really high grade, I think we can try to go for a couple 4 stars and see if maybe we can get them. It might be a tough sell, but I think we really need to do it. Especially since playing in the SEC, we are going to be having a really tough schedule, so being able to land some of these guys I think is going to be pretty tough. But since we are playing in the SEC, we're going to have a pretty difficult time being able to get a lot of wins, and that might deter some of these guys from signing. But again, that's going to be the great thing about this rebuild is we end up getting a 3-star in Pat Kendricks, a run support strong safety. It's going to be really cool to see Kent State become potentially competitive in the SEC. Although, again, I think it's going to take a handful of years and a lot of really good prospects to be able to make that happen. But with only 450 hours to start, this is going to be really tough. We're going to have to really think about where we want to place these hours and if we really want to scout these guys or just try to take a flyer on them. I am going to be trying a different format with this video, so you guys let me know down in the comments if you like this one more than the other rebuilds. I mean, I'm still going to be hopping into the games where we have people visiting, as well as, of course, bowl games and potential playoff games. But at the same time, we're really just going to look at the key plays in some of the games, just so we can kind of pare down the video a little bit. I know that 2.5 hours is a long time, so if you guys like this format, again, please let me know down in the comments. And look, I know that we haven't scouted these guys, but again, we're going to have to give a lot of these guys scholarships. They're going to be guys that we're going to be going after anyways, and again, I think all of these guys are going to be able to improve the team. And look at the schedule that we have. Now, of course, our non-conference games are going to be pretty decent. We got Ohio, Pittsburgh, Miami of Ohio, but of course we have Kentucky, but LSU, Alabama, we'll have Akron in there as well, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and a handful of other teams too, so it's not going to be an easy schedule, and I do not see us winning a lot of games. And again, we have very limited hours, so we're going to have to be kind of light on some of these guys, despite the fact that I think probably sending the house on some of these guys might get it done quicker, but again, we have a lot of guys to go after in very little hours. By the way, if you guys are new here, or if you guys have been around for a couple rebuilds and haven't yet, I really appreciate if you guys would hit that subscribe button. I honestly really appreciate all the support that you guys have given me over the last handful of rebuilds. And I can't wait to do a lot more because we have a lot of good ideas and super excited to see what ends up happening, especially in this game against Ohio. Let's see if we can win in week 0. And just as I had suspected, we ended up losing. We are 0-1 and we're going to be facing Pittsburgh next. And it looks like we did get locked out on a couple guys, but again, as long as we can actually kind of keep them on the board, maybe they'll actually open it up a little bit later. But thankfully that frees up 30 hours and we can place that on other guys too. But again, I think our lack of hours are really going to be our kryptonite this season. Well, let's see. Let's hope that we can win at least one game this season, though. But it isn't going to be the one against Pittsburgh, unfortunately. And if it's not that, it's going to be some of the grades that we have over here. Because, my goodness, look at all of those red and orange marks. Thankfully, though, as I said before, that conference prestige is always going to be an A+, and a lot of these playing times will, too. And unfortunately, we are about a week away from being able to bring anyone in just because of our lack of hours. But thankfully, we won't be bringing anyone in because we are on the road against number 23 Kentucky, who is 1-0 right now. 15th in the SEC. That's kind of what I figured we would be right now. And we're going to have to free up some hours here to be able to at least bring Kendricks in because, again, I really want this strong safety. Obviously, Temple does have him coming in on a visit in week 5, so we need to kind of take him away. The downside, though, is we just don't have the hours for it. But we can get them next week and still schedule them, unfortunately, for LSU. But let's send through this one. Let's see if we can at least beat Miami of Ohio. And we can't even do that. That's a little rough. And I just realized that I had way too many hours on a kicker. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. But let's see. Let's end up bringing him in for LSU. I don't think we're going to win the game. But hey, if we end up upsetting them, it's a +3. And we'll take that. Besides, with an A+ playing time, I think we're going to definitely sell him on that. And that was actually really worthless because he ended up signing with Temple after their game. And if we're losing commits to Temple, man, we are in for a really long rebuild. And honestly, because I want to try to land some of these guys, I'm actually going to bring Patrick Haslam in on the bye week because I don't think that we're going to end up beating Alabama, and I do not want to potentially lose Haslam here. Now, on the other hand, Reed Mueller, I'm actually going to bring in for this game against Akron. I think that might actually be a winnable game, and it'd be nice to actually win one this season too. And then just to get the complimentary visit, we're going to take Donnie Hamels, the speed rusher, and bring him in during the bye week 2 just to get that +1 with Haslam. So that means we are not hopping in until week 9. And honestly, the way that we're playing this season, I'm totally okay with that. Again, we want at least one win, and I think we're going to get it against Akron. Because despite the fact that Luke Floria ended up winning Offensive Player of the Week with 192 and 3 touchdowns, we still ended up losing. And he got National Offensive Player of the Week. Maybe we have some hope. Not this season, but down the line. Now, if we can actually land a commit between now and then, that would be great. But if we end up taking on Alabama here at home and we end up losing, that might not be the case, as we'll go 0-6. And unfortunately, 5 guys end up committing to other schools, including this left end that I was actually really excited to get. Now, we are going to bring this right guard in against Auburn, only because I want to play another game, and we really need to make sure that we can actually land someone on the offensive line. But if we can take this game against Akron again, I think we're going to be able to get at least one commit. God, I hope so. We actually have a higher overall than Akron. Let's see if we can go out there and prove it. So let's see how good or bad this team is. And look at the stands, man. Are you kidding me? It's just the marching band? What the hell? Let's see if we can get in the end zone. We can actually impress some of these guys. As we get to the outside, did not see him coming. 4 yards. And I probably should have looked at some of the stats of these guys before getting into the game. But hey, what can you do? But there we go. We pick up Martin, and we get a first down. Let's try to be smart and just pound this one in right up the middle. Good block, surprisingly enough, and we get in the end zone. We tie it up, and it remains a tie game. Granted, we both ended up getting field goals, but let's go after a really terrible punt. 3 minutes left. Let's try to get a good run, and we don't. But we got to remember, all we need is a field goal, so we don't necessarily need a big play, but this could be a good one as we get it out to our tight end. Muldowney? Nice little play right there. I love that. But let's continue to go back to the ground here, just because, again, I kind of want the clock to continue moving. So let's go right up the middle. We can get a good gain. I wish he would have ended up blocking that guy, not the safety. But now that we are in field goal range, I think we're going to be fine to just run this, especially if we get the first down right there. So let's continue to do that, but let's make sure that we stay in the center of the field just so we can have a nice centered kick. A first down will essentially seal it. Let's see if we can get that right here as they run commit, but we get up to a 4th and 1. But unfortunately, we don't get it, and I hate to do it, but I think we need to kick the field goal here. We need to take the for sure points and just go up. We have to rely on our defense, though. The question is, can we do it? Minute 13, let's get in there, let's get a big stop as we end up swatting that down. He could have potentially picked that, but decided not to. Let's get through there. Oh, he ends up taking the short route and 3rd and inches. We know they're going to be throwing it here, though. 3rd and inches, let's get in there, let's pick up a big stop. You are not going to delay run. Okay, good. Let's get through there. And yeah, that is out of bounds. Taking a little risk here as we're going to end up blitzing 5. Let's go. We got a couple guys out, and man, they're going to go. Come on, get him down. Let's go. And we end the game by stopping the option. And we end up getting our first win of the season. Not the prettiest one, but 13-10. Seam isn't so bad. They're not so good either, but good enough to end up winning the Battle of the Wagon Wheel. But Olatowski already almost has 2,000 yards with 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. It's not necessarily that he's making big mistakes. It's really just the fact that he's just not producing enough, I guess, you know? Our defense looks pretty good daily. Thankfully, as a junior, we'll have him for another year. 8 TFLs and 3.5 sacks, but only 1 interception on the season. So I think we ended up finding the problem, but we also found a commit in Reed Mueller, the left guard. But despite that win, Haslam and Hamels both ended up committing elsewhere. But that will allow us to focus on a lot of these other guys and really try to land them sooner rather than later. But we are going to only have, I think, 2 more visits this season. That's going to be Week 10 and Week 12. But we are going to be facing some pretty tough opponents, like 4-4 Auburn here. I mean, they're only 1-4 in conference, so maybe we can actually sneak a win by, but they are 10 overall higher than us in everything. Maybe we can chalk them, though. We are at home. Or not, as we have not ended up scoring a point yet. And now on 4th and 1, I honestly think we're going to have to go for the inside zone here. I know they have a couple guys, or a handful of guys in the box, but they're playing a little off, so we're going to be able to pick up this first down and a little bit more. And on 3rd down again to end the 3rd quarter, we need to pick this up one more time. Let's go. We got it. And Brown gets up for the first down. So we got to make this a respectable game. Come on now, guys. Let's end up getting it up there. What a throw, and he ends up catching it. Floria, or however you pronounce his name, another touchdown. And not only are we making it respectable, but we have a chance to score here and be within 1 possession. Can we actually do it, though? That's going to be the question. As let's go, bring it in. Great catch. Way to go, I almost said Mulaney, but that's Muldowney? Is that right? Yeah, we're going to go with that one. Let's go. Let's just throw this one out, thankfully. It was dumb on my part. I didn't know what I was doing, but let's go. We're going to run this one right up the middle, and we're going to pick this one up with Thomas. But unfortunately, our defense could not get the ball back, but we put up a valiant effort. We lost 17-14 against a much better team than us. It's just unfortunate that we're probably going to only end up with one win, as we end up losing Yarborough and Chisena. So maybe putting these guys in the SEC wasn't the smartest idea, but again, we have 4 or 5 more years to be able to win a championship, or at least win the conference championship. So let's see if we can do that. But losing to Oklahoma is not going to be the play. And oh no, we're going to be playing number 23 Ole Miss this week. Look, when I scheduled this game, they were like 3-4 or something like that. And yeah, they were much higher overall than us. Let's just make this look like a respectable game. And surprisingly enough, it's been our defense that's kept us in it. It is 7-0 and we have a chance to score. Not a great chance, but a chance nonetheless, but we can't get the ball out. So short, quick passes is going to be the key here. Let's see if we make that happen, but we can't get it out in time. But at least we have 2 more downs to get there. It's not like we have to really necessarily get the first down right here, but it would be nice as we end up getting Muldowney again. He has been a legit saint for us. Otherwise, we have not picked up a lot of this stuff. Thankfully, we'll be able to scramble out and we'll pick up the first down. Just, no, but don't fumble, you son of a bitch. Oh, and that is the difference in the game. You've got to be kidding me. 7-0 against 23 Ole Miss. Again, at least we kept it respectable. And wow, player of the game had 37 yards and a touchdown. That had to be pathetic. And thankfully, that was enough for Gerard Avery to end up committing. I'm glad that we impressed him enough. But that is unfortunately only 2 guys right now. That's rough. We need to land a lot more, but we need to get more hours too. And thankfully, we got Troy Shitu. Hopefully I'm not going to mispronounce that later, because that would be a really bad mispronunciation. The good thing is we do have the transfer portal open as well, because 1-10 this season, 0-7 in conference. I don't think that we're going to get a second win, man. Vanderbilt looks like a good team this year. And that is how we're going to end the season, 1-11. That's the worst start to a rebuild we've had so far. And honestly, that transfer portal might be best for us because A, we're going to get some more players, and B, some of them are already going to be developed a little bit, so maybe they'll come in a little bit higher. But oh boy, with F prestigious, this does not look good. We are going to end up firing our offensive coordinator because the schemes do not match up. And honestly, I think we're going to get rid of our defensive coordinator too, because even though he's an elite recruiter, he definitely does not look like it. I know, a little risky to do, especially in the first season, but hey, drastic times call for drastic measures. And damn, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, 4,500 yards with 55 touchdowns. Incredible. Especially when you look at our team, because Olatowski, no wonder why we ended up losing a little bit later, although he did not get a lot of yards in those last few games. 2,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Kargman is not going to be our quarterback next season. We can still go with Olatowski once he ends up coming back from injury. Thomas, 969 with 6 touchdowns. Boy, we really got stuffed in those last few games. No real progress in those last 5 games either from the defense, unfortunately. And we still only ended up with 1 interception. This defense has got to improve. And I know it's really quick, but I think that we're actually going to end up going with the 3-3-5 defense. I always like that one a little bit more. So I think we're actually going to go with LaMarcus Shepley for our offensive coordinator. He has a lot of other interested schools, but maybe he'll come here. And while we don't have anyone here that is a 3-3-5, let's go with Mick Levine. I just kind of like that name, honestly. And we'll find out if we landed any of them. But first, despite the fact that we have yet to sign anyone, unfortunately, except for these 3, because we have a lot of guys on this board, we get to see what their depth traits are. Of course, Reed Mueller is normal. We have Impact and Gerard Avery, though, and normal on Shitu. Oh boy. But thankfully at the buzzer, Lynn Hollis ends up committing. That's great to see, at least 1. And thankfully we did end up getting both coaches. That's great. Hopefully that'll actually improve us a little bit. We went from an F to a C. And maybe those signings actually encouraged Wes Revis to end up committing a middle linebacker. I know we need one of those. And we got Alabama-Utah in the national championship game. And that prestige of the SEC goes from A+ to A++. So let's get through this. Let's get into the transfer portal and see who we can sign. But first, we need to look at the players leaving. Anyone want to transfer? Oh yeah, I thought so. And we have no chance of getting them back. And some of these guys were going to be really good pieces. We're still going to give it a shot. McCray? Didn't think so. We only have 1 more left. Didn't think so either. So we're going to be losing a lot of guys and a handful to graduation too. So I think our roster might be a little thin next season. And that might mean that we have to aim just a little bit lower with some of these guys. So we might have to just strictly look at 3 stars for a little while, and even potentially 2 stars. But before we look for anyone in the portal, we are going to put as many hours as possible on these guys and be able to bring them in for visits just so we can land them first. And thankfully there are a handful of guys here in the portal that actually have us first, and they are big needs, so let's make sure that we try to land them. Now, there's really no shot in hell that we're going to really land a lot of these guys, but still worth a shot, am I right? And I know, it's ridiculous to just offer them scholarships without scouting them, but realistically, we need more bodies, and if they aren't that good, we'll just cut them in the next season. And look at that, we end up getting RJ Clements, another guy on the offensive line that we definitely need. But at this point, we literally need everything, and I see a lot of firsts on there. We just need to push them over the finish line. And thankfully, we do get Josh Dykes as well as Ernie Westbrook, another linebacker. Lacumbo? What a great name. And thankfully in this last week, we do get a left guard, Weatherspoon. We also get a strong safety, CJ Turner, and Tuioti, left outside linebacker. That's great to see, but we did lose a lot of other guys. But at least we can look at all of these guys now. Unfortunately, a lot of them are normal, but Turner and Tuioti are both impact, which is great. We have Ali, who is normal. Same with Madden, Brady. Dykes is impact. That's great to see, but unfortunately, again, a lot of just normal and impacts. We're going to have to improve that as the seasons go on. But maybe moving around a couple guys will actually make me pretty happy. As we see, Tyrone Brady is a 60 overall, but my dude actually goes up to a 67 as a right end. And of course, with the speed rusher, I feel like he's going to develop a lot quicker. Now, Revis is kind of the same way, but I actually like him at right outside linebacker. We need another one over there. And again, it's going to be another good way to see how these guys end up developing. Well, Shitu was going to actually come in as a quarterback, but he actually looks like a much better tight end. Maybe even potentially a halfback, but realistically, let's put him at tight end. And Josh Dykes, a 63 overall, goes up to a 70 as a halfback. Yes, please. So while we didn't end up signing a quarterback, I'm really hoping that Sherrod takes a huge jump this year. Or even to Shields. It'd be nice to have an 84 speed quarterback. Now, as of right now, it actually looks like we're going to be having a lot of freshmen, or a couple other guys that we ended up bringing in, like Tuioti right here at left outside linebacker, that are going to end up starting this season. But again, if they can end up developing over the years, especially the freshmen, oh man, we're in for a really great rebuild, I think. It's going to be tough, don't get me wrong, but it's still going to be a great rebuild. But this is going to kind of be like our insight to seeing how we're going to end up developing. Do we get any better? Do we get up to like the high 70s? I'm really hoping at least. And we're at 81? What happened here? Now, thankfully, Sherrod ended up going up over Cargman, so it's nice to see that we're going to have someone who's going to be here for a couple more years actually climb up there. But the Shields did not take the jump that I was hoping. We got Garcia at an 80 overall. That is great to see. We actually have a wide receiver over 80, and he is a sophomore. Deshaun Martin, I think he's going to be really great. Obviously, we didn't bring him in, but still, it's going to be really cool to see how this guy develops. Got a couple other guys in like the 60s, low 70s, but I think we're going to be okay. We have a 68 at tight end, which is great. And of course, our offensive line ended up climbing up into the 70s for everyone. That's going to be great for the extra protection. Now, our line is up to an 80. Unfortunately, CSAC is unfortunately just a 77, but it's nice to see most of these guys in the 80s. Our left outside linebacker, not so much. And our middle linebacker, too. Man, we really need to improve at the linebacker spot for sure. We do need to get some faster corners because, I'm sorry, but 88 speed, not that great. Bivens at least is a 98 speed. It's nice to have someone there like that. And of course, our safeties are in the 70s as well. So I don't know where we got the 81 from, but hopefully that'll help us in sim. And since we did only bring in like 15 people, obviously we're not going to be encouraging anyone to transfer. I mean, again, a lot of these guys could be good for us down the road, but even so, our overall doesn't really matter at this point. We're still trying to rebuild. But going into season 2, we're really just looking to really improve on that 1-11 record last season. If we can win at least 4 games, I'm going to consider that a success. Now, unfortunately, again, I think we have Olatowski in as the quarterback. I'm actually thinking about putting Sherrod in. Probably not the smartest thing, but man, a 96 throw power with some pretty decent accuracy looks pretty good. But again, Olatowski is probably going to be better. I'm hoping maybe we can actually find someone in the portal this year to take over for that. But again, we might be running the ball a little bit more than we actually think. And it's nice to actually see that Dykes there is actually going to slot in as the backup running back and is a 70 overall to start. But we'll see what we're going to end up doing with the quarterbacks. We'll see how it ends up going down the line. But for right now, we're going to keep Olatowski in there at starting quarterback. And again, let's just hope that maybe we can find someone in the portal. But with needs at pretty much every position, you see quarterback, halfback, pretty much the entire offensive line, all our linebackers, our defensive line, our secondary. It's going to be tough to really kind of hone in on one position, but again, we really need to focus on the ones that I think are going to bring us the most success in the future. And I think part of the issue that we had last season was that we went after a couple 5-star and 4-star prospects, and I know we shouldn't go after anymore, but again, I think we're going to put 4 stars and then go the rest 3 stars and try to see if we can sign a lot of these guys that'll be able to add some depth. And thankfully in the 3 stars, we did find a lot of guys that are actually interested. I mean, Dwayne Warren here already has us first on his list. And again, looking at halfbacks, we have a lot of guys that are actually going to be able to fill a lot of these spots, especially on the line. Thing is, can we actually sign these guys and make them big players for our team down the road? Well, if we can find 4-star gems like Enrique Skinner here, we might actually have the chance. He comes out of the gate with a 99 speed, 91 acceleration, with pretty decent man coverage, and actually really good agility too. And even though he is not a bust or anything, Dwayne Warren does not look great to me. On 85 throw power, 78 speed as a scrambler, feel like we might have some better options. Now, Jamal Candidate, on the other hand, 90 throw power, 84 speed as a scrambler. I think he could actually be pretty damn good. He's someone we're going to really go after, especially since we're number 2 on his board. Now, it is unfortunate that we can't scout everyone because we don't have enough hours, but we have a couple really good guys here so far. I just really hope we can land some of them quickly so we can go after some other guys too. But there are a couple guys that we're really going to be focusing on, at least to kind of start the season. We got a 3-star gem, Christian Ritzman, as a speed rusher on the right end. And if you guys saw my last video, you guys know how much I love speed rushers and putting them on the end. They develop there really quickly, so I think that's going to be really great, especially as a gem. I'm hoping that he's going to be at least a star. We also have Enrique Skinner, the cornerback, who is a 4-star gem. Someone that we really want to get, especially with 99 speed, but we need to get some interest quickly. And of course, a couple of the other 4 stars as well. And of course, Jamal Candidate, who is going to be the one quarterback that I'm hoping is going to be able to take over the starting job next season. But with our lack of hours, that is going to continue to be a bit of an issue. That might actually be something that we look at in the offseason when looking at new coaches, but for now, let's just continue with what we got. And it's good to see that we actually went up to number 4 on Skinner's board. But what would really help is if we ended up winning. But we start 0-1 against UConn, unfortunately. But thankfully, it wasn't a bad loss. We only lost 23-20, which still sucks, don't get me wrong, but not too bad of a game. Olatowski, 207, 2 touchdowns and an interception, but we need to get it done on the ground more. We are going to schedule our first visit, though, because Ritzman is ready. And honestly, I think we're going to have to do it against Auburn. We might have a chance to lose, unfortunately, but higher tier opponent, better reward if we end up winning, and a very minimal loss if we don't. But we have a huge opportunity right here to knock off number 23 Florida State. They're 0-2. I don't know how they're still in the top 25. But hopefully we'll end up making them 0-3, and hopefully that'll get a couple guys to actually commit. And while neither of those ended up happening, at least we have a pretty easy matchup against an FCS team this week, which means we should get our first win. And even if we don't end up winning the game, the good news is we'll be able to hop into the one after that, because week 8 is actually going to be a pretty stacked week. We got 3 guys visiting and 3 ones that we really want to land. They're actually the top 3 on our board too. But thankfully nothing to worry about as we took them down 39-17, and I just noticed we lost 35-7 against Florida State. But thankfully, this was a nice game for Olatowski, who had 4 touchdowns despite the 2-14. And apparently I can't count because we got one more week before the visit week, but we just made it a little more important because it looks like we're going to have Packy on a visit in week 8. And since we are number 1 and Indiana is climbing up, we need to really make a really good impression. Hopefully we'll get him to sign soon. Because you know me, I'm not going to say no to a 4-star offensive lineman. And look at that, we got our potential quarterback in the future with the unibrow, Jamal Candidate. Unfortunately, though, we did end up losing not just the game, but a lot of potential players too, as the power rusher, Lowell, ends up committing, unfortunately, elsewhere. And another offensive lineman too. Thankfully, we were able to schedule 2 more visits as we're slipping down Havner's list, so I'm really hoping that a week 9 visit is going to help. And we're also bringing in the middle linebacker Graves because we need to sign him too. But one more week before we can hop into a game. Let's see if we can take down James Madison and hopefully get 2 wins before we hop in. Well, no matter what happened, we got Peggy, the 4-star offensive lineman. I didn't think that he was going to commit. Same with Alan Graves, the 3-star middle linebacker. Andy Barr, the free safety. What happened? Bro, we ended up losing. Why did that many guys end up signing? I mean, I'm not going to be upset about it, don't get me wrong, But unfortunately, I am upset that we did end up losing Havner. I wish we wouldn't have scheduled that then. But with 225 hours, now we can look at everyone else and potentially put more guys on the board. And surprisingly enough, pretty much everyone that we had coming on visits already signed. But still, big week this week is Ritzman and Skinner are going to be visiting, and we need to overtake Auburn here because we cannot allow them to get them. So that means that we need to go out here and stun Auburn. They're 3-3 this season, obviously much better overall, but let's go out there and really impress these recruits. But unfortunately, things aren't going to plan as we are down 14-0 here before, of course, the end of the first half. As we unfortunately throw that one to the ground. It's a pretty good metaphor for this team. Just an absolute crash and burn before you get to where you need to go. And yet, oh, that is not going to be a fumble. No shot. I thought he was in the motion of throwing, and we are now down 3 scores. But at this point, because we're down 3 possessions, all I want is just to get into the end zone. That's all I ask. Is that too much from this team? Apparently so, because we can't get the ball off. So since we don't have time, let's go for the screen and see if that's going to help at all. As we can't even get the ball off, we need to replace Olatowski. And at this point, I want points. So let's just take the field goal, and let's just not get shut out here. That is unfortunately all we would get as we end up going down to Auburn 28-3. Now I can see why there aren't many fans in the crowd. But again, we knew we weren't going to come in and be able to compete in the SEC right away. We knew it was going to take a couple of years, but I'm hoping by year 5, we're going to be able to compete with teams like Auburn. And for some reason, Tony Grimm decides to commit anyways. Sorry, buddy. But unfortunately, that performance got Skinner to end up committing to Auburn. Of course, the team that we ended up losing to. But despite that loss, we have a chance to make things right as we are going to be going up against Kentucky right now, who's 2-4. Another team that's pretty pitiful in the SEC, so let's hope we can take them. But first, let's take a look at the season stats. As pitiful as they may be, Olatowski halfway through only 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Only 178 on the ground. He's the leading running back. We need to run a little bit more or get a better quarterback. We need to be a lot better than that. And our defense just not getting a ton of pressure. I mean, at least we're sacking the quarterback a bit, but come on. We need to do a little bit better than that, but at least 7 interceptions. We'll take that. Time to add to those totals as we end up taking on Kentucky. The second to last game that we're jumping into this season, we're pretty much on par in overall, so let's see if we can pick up at least another win this season. But unfortunately, things are going just about as well as they did in the Auburn game. But we're down 7-0, at least it's only 1 possession. We're going to get that screen out. Let's get some good blocks. There we go. Good vision, too. He ends up getting out there. Big gain. It's nice when the screen actually decides to work, isn't it? Let's see if we can get our best receiver. We got Martin down there, and we got a really big gain. 1 minute left. Let's go. Let's rush to the line. Let's see if we can get a playoff pretty quickly here. Gosh, I don't think we can actually go all goes. Let's actually go slants right here. Let's see if someone can get open. See if we can get a little catch and run right here. As we end up getting it up to Etheridge, but he drops it, but at least the clock stops. Maybe a weak plan, but I feel really confident with the screens because we always seem to get that out, get some good blocks, but unfortunately not the first. But we're going to continue to get this drive moving. Let's go. Let's pick it up. Let's see if we can... Oh, get out there. What a catch. That's what I'm talking about. We need to trust him a little bit more now, don't we? Let's go. Good catch right there, and we get out of bounds again. 33 seconds. Come on. We need to get into the end zone somehow. There we go. Be a little patient. We get up there, and we need a timeout. Thankfully, we do have one more timeout. We need to know that we had that in the back pocket for when we do need it. But let's see. Wide open. Let's go, Martin. Let's hurry up to the line. And if we can just get this off, that would be great. 13 seconds. Come on. We can end up picking up a touchdown. Let's go to Martin. And we get in the end zone before half, and we are tying this up. And I'm really upset that my recording totally missed out on this, but you got to see this play. 3rd down and long. I thought we were dead. Toss it up, down, and let's go. Ends up grabbing it and ends up getting down to the 1-yard line before he gets tackled. And by the 1-yard line, I mean the 3-yard line. I do not want to get this in the end zone yet, but I'm not going to say no to a touchdown as we get in, but now our defense needs to hold. But unfortunately, with only a minute left, they have it on the 1-yard line. 1st and goal. We need to find a way to stop them as they just run up the middle and they get in the end zone, but we have time to respond. I can't believe the defense gave it up that easily and that quickly, but thankfully we get a little separation, but he can't hang on to it. Thankfully we do have 3 timeouts, so we have plenty of time. The question is, can we get any kind of separation here as we have to throw short, and Martin almost picks up the first. Come on, we need to hurry up. At the very least, we need to pick up the 1st down. Thankfully we get it out there, and Fisher gets out of bounds. I mean, technically, all we need is a field goal to be able to tie. Question is, can we end up getting that as unfortunately, no, that is not a fumble! There is no way that's a fumble! He was in the motion of throwing! And there's no way we don't go down to Kentucky like that. 24-14, oh, I'm using that as revenge for next season. And despite the frustration, at least we didn't lose anyone, but no one's signing right now, and we still don't have a ton of hours, so let's see if we can bolster this class a little more. We only have 5 so far. I'm glad that we signed a quarterback and a running back and a couple offensive linemen, but we need some more on defense, so let's look for some linebackers. And thankfully, this is going to free up some more hours, and we got ourselves a right end, the one that we really wanted, the 3-star gem. And also another right guard, Connor Schaefer. That's great. Now we can really focus on defense. And we're going to need everyone that we can get, because if we're going to lose 34-10 to 2-6, or well, 1-6 at the time, Ole Miss, yeah, we need a brand new team. And isn't this a bitch? Our last 3 games of the season are against top 25 teams. Yikes. But we knew things were going to be extremely difficult by placing us in the SEC. We're facing some of the best talent in the country, so even the teams that are 1-6, 2-6 at the time that we're facing them, unfortunately, they're still a tough challenge as we lost to South Carolina 31-17. And like I said before, things are not getting any easier this week as we take on number 22 Florida on the road. Is this a week where we stun them? No, of course not. We lose 49-17. And our offense has not scored more than 24 in a game. But we do have a chance to not only pick up our second win of the season, but also land a couple of recruits as we have 4 guys who are visiting this week against Missouri. Our overalls are pretty comparable. Not gonna lie, they're just having a pretty damn good season. Let's see if we can go out there and actually pick up our second win. We need it. And there is a reason why this team was ranked. They are pretty damn good, but thankfully we have a chance to score here near the end of the first half. Question is, can we actually pick up the yardage for it as we hit Etheridge for almost a first down? After a holding penalty, though, we're pushed back to a 2nd and 10, unfortunately. That's all right. We can still pick this up. As we end up running out, we get it out in the flat to Dykes, who ends up breaking off a couple tackles and gets almost close to where we were. So in my mind, end zone or bust right here. Let's pick this up. Oh, he held on to it. Let's go. My bad. I thought he dropped it. I'm just so used to that happening with this team. But 1st and goal. Get in the end zone. Let's tie this game up. And surprisingly enough, we have a chance to go up here in the 4th. Let's go. I didn't think we'd be in this position against Missouri. Thankfully for us, though, our defense decided to show up. Our offense, on the other hand, maybe not so much. But at least we're going to get in the end zone here. Almost. Regardless, though, beef on beef. We can push ourselves 2 yards right here. Get up the middle. Never mind, we can't block. So I think we found a lot of the issue that we've been having. No one is ending up blocking as we end up finding him in the end zone. Etheridge ends up getting that. We're up a score. Now, as long as we can waste all their timeouts and run the rest of this clock out, we might have our second win of the season. But I think it's going to be 1 more first down, and then we have the game as we get a good gain on this counter. Owens gets up to the first down. I think that's going to be game. And we pull off the stunning upset. Ugly score, don't get me wrong, 14-7. But that is a win. Good to see our defense holding. But unfortunately, that win did not bring in any recruits. I was hoping that was going to push them over the edge. The good thing is we are still in first with a lot of these guys, but we need to push them over the line. But regardless of if we beat LSU on the road, which we're not, they're 9-2 and number 8 in the country, still think that we should get a couple commits this next week, no matter how bad we lose. And here we go, strong safety, Caleb Eds. Manny Marvin, the middle linebacker. We also have Devion Stockton, the cornerback. And there we go. We got a couple guys in the secondary. Excuse me? We beat LSU 31-27? What happened? Oletowski, 272, 4 touchdowns. He put it together. We only ran it a couple times, but Garcia averaged over 10. 3 touchdowns for Fisher. Absolutely insane. And the defense, 5 TFLs, no sacks, no interceptions. But again, apparently enough to be able to win. I mean, that wasn't going to make us bowl eligible, but at least we're more attractive to some of these recruits. We end the season 3-9, unfortunately, and if we don't sign some more guys here, but thankfully we do with Cortez Mayo, the cornerback, then we might have a difficult time next season. And honestly, next year is the season that I really want to become bowl eligible. If we can get at least 6 wins next season, I will be happy. And hopefully Marquise Browning is going to be a part of that, the left guard. And I didn't think I'd see this. Not that Cade Klubnik wasn't going to end up winning the Heisman, but 46 touchdowns to 0 interceptions? Holy shit. Well, even if we did end up losing a couple people and we didn't make a bowl, at least we can see everyone's depth traits now that his early national signing day was Schaefer, Ed, and Impact. And there we go, Ritzman, the one that I was hoping to be a star, is a star. Unfortunately, our quarterback is only in normal development. That is heartbreaking. And thankfully, we do have an offensive lineman who is star development as well. And unfortunately, I did sin through the part where I could actually get rid of my coordinators, so unfortunately, we're going to have two mid-ass coordinators for at least another year. But thankfully, Stephen Hoosman, the right outside linebacker, ends up committing. And not just that, but Boston College is your national champion. And unfortunately, we do have 4 guys who do want to transfer with no persuasion chance. I mean, we'll still end up trying, but I don't necessarily know if we really need them. We have a lot of guys going to graduation, but unfortunately, these guys are definitely not coming back. We have 1 more persuasion chance, and we ain't gonna get it. But we can always recruit their replacement. And we have a couple guys that are still on the board that we can end up getting, but of course, we can look in the transfer portal as well. And while there aren't a ton of guys, there are a lot of guys that we can go after that will fulfill some of our needs. And since our quarterback only had normal dev, I'm actually gonna take 3 more quarterbacks, put them on the board, and let's hope that one of them is gonna be better. And if for some reason this guy is like star dev, which is very unlikely, he might be better. 89 throw power, 84 speed, not bad. But even though he is not a star, 95 power, 84 speed with 96 acceleration on Shelton Oliveira, yeah, let's offer him a scholarship. The good news is, with the hours we have, we can bring a couple guys in on visits and actually be able to scout a lot of these other guys too. And here comes the flood of them. Shelton Oliveira, the one that I'm really hoping is going to be the future. Tevin Urbina, Will Springs, and just a ton of guys. Quan President, the middle linebacker. Sarah, the middle linebacker. Jordan Hall. Now we have a lot of linebackers and a lot of guys on defense too. And my goodness, I'm just not going to read all these guys. You guys can see everyone that ended up signing, right? The only one guy we didn't get, unfortunately, was Croft, and he ended up going to Michigan. And unfortunately, Oliveira is just an impact. Same with Urbina and Springs. So, holy cow, we got an elite tight end. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, but we're going to hit him a lot in this series. Thankfully, we do have a star on the right outside linebacker as well. Croft was only an impact, so I'm totally okay with losing him. Brown, unfortunately, is impact. And then Flemster ended up going to Duke, and he's normal. Get him out of here. So that means we end up signing 24 guys, and if we actually look at how we ended up doing, unfortunately, we are not at the top of the SEC, but still 47th in the nation, not too bad. And we do only have 5 athletes to be able to place, and thankfully a lot of them are going to be better at one position than another, so that's going to help out in being able to place them. And thankfully, Oliveira is going to stay a 72 as a scrambling quarterback. Again, with the impact, he might actually be our future. But for now, this is how it's looking. I mean, unless Sherrod gets a huge jump up, I think Oliveira is going to have to start, and he's just going to have to develop from the ground up. Now, because we are going to have a lot of freshmen starting on the line, I think that Cecil Wilson, who is a backup at left tackle, ends up going up to a 72 as a left guard, and I think he would end up starting there. And not just that, but Tevin Tucker, who is a free safety, is a 74 overall corner. Let's put him there. And now it's going to be all up to training results. Do we see a big jump here, or do we just kind of linger around mediocrity? Well, that's not extremely promising. No one over an 83? Yeah, we are probably not going to be bowl eligible again. Sherrod only goes up to a 76, 75 at halfback. Thankfully, we have a couple of receivers who ended up going up a little bit, but still, man, it's going to be extremely rough. Our center went up to an 81, which is great. Same with our left end, and our right end up to an 83. It's nice to see the defense is going to be the thing to hold it down, but unfortunately, it's going to be a lot of freshmen. But let's see if they can end up developing, and let's see what we can do to actually make a viable team here in the SEC, especially here in Season 3. Because after this season, yeah, we only have, I guess, 3 years after this. So everyone who's starting right now as a freshman will be a senior by the time we are done with this video. And I think that means that Oliveira, you're going to have to get the nod here. You may be 3 overall under what Sherrod is, but I think we can develop him quicker. And if those guys are essentially starting out at like an 83 overall as a team, then we have a chance to actually get them up pretty high. I think in this offseason, as much as I'd like to get more recruiting coordinators, I think we need to work on guys that are more tacticians as well as motivators. That way we can get more offseason boosts, and also during the season, just be a little bit better too. Because where we stand right now, I don't think we have a chance of being able to compete for the SEC championship. We're really going to be competing for bowl eligibility. And hopefully some of these guys are going to be able to help us, because we actually have a couple 4-stars that are interested in coming. The question here though is, are any of them good? Is Van Manen, who is someone who would be a big need for us, is actually a 4-star gem with 94 speed. Not just that, but if Oliveira just doesn't work out, Alpha Rome here is a scrambler who's a 4-star gem, 93 throw power, 85 speed. And this is someone we're prioritizing too. I think we're going to need a wide receiver soon. This dude's got 99 speed out of the gate. But the good news is we ended up finding 6 gems, and these are the guys that we're really going to focus on. But in order to get them, we're going to have to do really well this season, and that's going to be tough when we have number 13 Texas Tech, 10 Ohio State, 11 Florida, 14 LSU, and 4 Georgia. I knew the SEC was going to be difficult, but damn. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Ohio State's not in the SEC or anything like that, but you understand what I'm saying. And things started off kind of the way we expected, but man, 13-10, at least we kept it competitive, but Oliveira with 2 interceptions. Thankfully, the defense actually got some pretty good pressure, 3 sacks and 3 TFLs. And we're doing this while we can because it's a playbook that I'm familiar with and one that I like. So let's go to the air raid playbook from Clemson. And since Van Manen is a guy that I really want to get on this team, we're putting a lot of hours into him, and we're already scheduling a visit for, unfortunately, probably Auburn. But if we can't even take down Kennesaw State, how are we going to take down Auburn? But this will still be a pretty good test. Number 16 Ohio State, who's 1-1. They've already lost a conference game, so Big Ten versus SEC, who wins? I mean, to be fair, that's not necessarily a fair matchup, but we made it pretty respectable. We lost 34-24. At least we're scoring now, but 2 more interceptions for Oliveira. And again, still nothing on the ground whatsoever. It's our defense that's kind of keeping us there. But we need to really start winning if we think we're going to get off of Rome, because that championship contender is dropped below a B-. He's going to be a really important part of this team, I think, if he ends up signing. But thankfully, we have pretty much a freebie right here. Taking on FCS West. Hopefully we can actually win this one. Holy cow, we actually got the 4-star gem Van Manen. Thankfully we got someone on the offensive line, but Alpha Rome already committed to Maryland? But maybe we don't need him. Shelton Oliveira, 333 with 4 touchdowns? Alright, his best performance yet. Granted, it was against an FCS team and it's only his 4th game of his career, and he's played a lot of ranked opponents. But still, a 52-7 win is really great to see. But we got another tough matchup against Florida this week. But thankfully, we have a couple guys visiting next week, which means we're going to be able to hop into that game. Maybe Sim will be nice to us, though. Is this another good sign? Larry Burnett ends up committing right tackle, but we do end up losing. We're 1-4, but we didn't think we were going to beat Florida. But thankfully now we have a chance to impress a couple recruits and also be able to pick up our 2nd win of the season, although it's going to be tough against 87 overall Auburn. But let's go in there and let's see if we can stun them. And we have the chance to do just that as we're up by 1 score, almost near the end of the first half. Let's get this screen pass, let's get the first down, and let's keep this going. But we have plenty of time here. We have all 3 timeouts, so let's keep this going. Let's find the hole. Let's get close to the end zone. Maybe a jet touch pass will actually do it. Let's see if we have the speed to get to the outside. Get some good blocks, and I think we're going to get into the end zone. We do! Go up by 2 scores before half. Well, so much for that lead, but we have 33 seconds to work it downfield. We have no timeouts, though. That's rough. What are we going to do? Apparently, we're going to toss up a jump ball and not get it. Now, Martin can get a release over here on the left. He's not going to. We're just going to throw that into the ground. And right now, it looks like we're going to be going into overtime, but who knows? Maybe we can get lucky as we chuck the ball downfield. And he won't grab it, no! And I accidentally hit hurry up, which means we might end up losing this game because of this. But let's see if we can end up getting one more big score. No. Oh, hold on. That actually helps us out a little bit. They're out of field goal range now. So here I thought we were going to upset them, and instead, I'm just upset in general. But if we can score here in overtime, I'm going to be super happy as we don't get that block, and we got a 3rd and 1. Now, call me dumb, but I want a 1st down. I need a fresh set of downs. Let's just go for the... Are you kidding? Well, if he got 6 inches last time, he'll get another 6 right here. Take it right up the middle. Okay, now enough of that. We want to get into the end zone right here. Get some good blocks. We find a pretty good hole. But can we replicate that right here with the fullback? Come on, get through there. No, only 1 yard. But if we're going to rely on anyone, we're relying on our star receiver as Martin gets it, but... Okay, they gave him the forward progress. I thought they were going to short him, so let's just continue to run the ball. It's been our best option. I was considering going for that jet touch pass again, but I'm relying on that. Are you kidding again? So come on, we're 1-4. What do we have to lose? Jet touch pass, let's try to get in for the score. Get out there. Cut it up. And we get in, oh my lord. And now it's up to this defense on 3rd and 4 to pick up a big stop right here. We are going to have to get him down in a couple downs. No way, you left him wide open. We need help in the secondary. And unfortunately, they score and get the 2-point conversion. Let's see if we can respond and be able to go into triple overtime. as we get some pretty good blocks. Let's go! And we get down to the 8. So it looks like we're going to have to rely on the real pass. And I think we can do our tight end. Get up there! No, he gets taken down short. So what did I say before? You got to trust your best receiver. And we will right here. What happened to him? He started running towards us! It's that glitch again where he just runs into the backfield. And hey, we came back on this one. We're going to live and die by it. Let's go one more time. No, I did not mean to. It locked onto the player and it locked onto the quarterback, so that was the CPU running it, and we end up getting stopped. We lose to Auburn in double overtime. That's disappointing because I feel like if we would have had the chance to run that ourselves, we could have gotten the end zone. Plus, that would have been such a big win for us, too. We'd be 2-4 instead of 1-5. Now we got to see how we do against Kentucky in Sim. And unfortunately, we drop another close game as well, 17-15. I don't know how we ended up getting to 15, but unfortunately, Olave did not have the greatest game. Still didn't get much on the ground either. So we need to really figure out where we need to bolster things. I mean, Olave isn't doing horrible. 9 interceptions is a little rough, but still, as a freshman, almost said rookie, not too bad. We need to pick it up on the ground for sure. Etheridge has been the best receiver that we've had, so we need some other guys to step up. But our defense is what's doing it, man. Beatty with 6 TFLs, Gunter and Sizak with 4 apiece, and then 4.5 sacks for Gunter and Studio. Not too bad. Our secondary could use a little bit of help, but still, Rollison ended up having 2 interceptions so far, and then we got 5 others. And thankfully, we got someone who's going to bolster the offense. The 4-star wide receiver, I believe he is a gem as well, Tyree Verrett. And also the left guard, Niles Miranda, another big one, another 4-star. And Cavazos, the free safety as well. Thankfully, we get a chance to hop in this game against Oklahoma. They are 5-3 and do have a considerable advantage over us in overall. But if we end up winning this game, we have a chance of landing another offensive lineman. And dear God, we know that we need it. So let's go in there and let's do our best. But if this is our best, then damn, we are really screwed because, man, down 4 possessions here, we are not looking good. And even if the computer wants me to end up going for a field goal, we just can't do that. We can't afford that down this much in this game. But let's at least make this look a little respectable. Please give me a little bit of dignity back because this is pathetic so far. And because Olave has been prone to interceptions even in Sim, let's try to pound this one in on the ground. It's a little hard to do when he doesn't follow the blocks. So let's see if we can end up getting this out. We don't. 4th and 12 now. And again, down 4 possessions. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am not kicking a field goal. And that's going to get intercepted, of course. That's my fault, though. I mean, we had to go for the end zone on that one anyways, but, dude, we lost 45-7. There was no shot we were going to win that. And unfortunately, that means that a lot of the guys that visited decided to go elsewhere, as unfortunately, our potential future quarterback ended up going to Cincinnati, and this right tackle went to Syracuse. And if we can't get any of those recruits, man, we are going to be screwed going forward. We're definitely going to have to change our coaches up in this next season, so let's remember that at the end of the season. Thankfully, though, Billy Gunter ended up committing. He was one of the guys that visited, so hey, let's go. I mean, we effing lost, but still, at least we got someone to commit. Now, we do have 2 more games that we're hopping into this season, but unfortunately, this is not one of them. Let's hope we can take down Vandy. And hopefully this is a good sign. Dwan Boss. What a name. Right tackle ends up committing. And we do take them down. We get our first conference victory. And not just that, but we won in convincing fashion, 37-24. And I'm sorry, did I say 2 more games? I meant 1. And unfortunately, it's going to be against number 3, undefeated Georgia. A 90 overall. I do not see us winning this. Let's just make it respectable. And sometimes I question why we bring guys in on these weeks because we know we're not going to end up winning. So why do we do this to ourselves every single time? Now that one should have been completed. He just did not turn around for it. So let's see if we can get it. Nope. He ends up dropping it. Good game, I guess. Obviously, if we can't catch a ball, how are we going to win a game? We go down 27-0. I can't believe we got shut out. I think that means that we're really going to have to focus on getting new coaches that, again, really focus on things like the motivator and things like tactician just to make these guys better because they need it. And we do need to bolster the offensive line. And I'm really hoping that Kevontae Vaughn is going to be one of the guys to do that. But unfortunately, we get stomped by Missouri 49-13, and we need to find a way to get better. Thankfully, we do get right end Isaiah Byler, though. And also Jordan Fisago, a right guard. Again, bolstering that offensive line. And honestly, all of that is a big improvement for a 2-10 team. As we see, we have 2 coordinators that are F prestige. So long and so long. We don't need you guys. We're going to find someone better this offseason. And somehow our contract got extended. when we only won 6 games in 3 years. Now, before we look at early National Signing Day, I want to look at a couple of these guys because we need new coordinators. And even though Orlando Edwards does run an air raid like we do, I do not necessarily like his skills here. So I think we're actually going to look at Ahmad Rowe because, dude, he is maxed out pretty much in his motivator and down in the tactician pretty close too. And if we're going to go with the defensive coordinator, it's got to be Ty Waller. He does run a 4-2-5, so I think we're going to be fine. Now, what we could do is actually change our offensive playbook as well. That way we can actually match his with the pro style. But we'll have to see how it really works out with some of our other guys. As we see, we did end up signing Greg Woods, who is an impact. We also have impact on Boss, but we do have star on Van Manen. Again, our starting halfback going forward. We got star on Gideon, so it's nice to see that we got some really good offensive linemen. Another one. We even have an elite on Gunter. Dude, I know I talked about how terrible our line has been this season. We're definitely improving it by season 6. Not just that, but they're going to have a couple really good coaches here to coach them because we did get both Ahmad Rowe and Ty Waller. I'm really thinking that they're going to make a difference when it comes to training results. And thankfully, we end up getting another quarterback, so we got a little bit of depth. Now, even if for some reason we would have went 10-2 instead, I don't think that we would have been able to match up with USC and Clemson. Maybe one of these seasons, but definitely not this one. As Felix Pollard, another right guard, ends up committing. We're going to be stacked on the line. And USC ends up taking the national championship 31-23. Now, unfortunately, we do have some guys that are going to want to transfer, and some of them coming in pretty recently. I know we have no persuasion chance, but we need to go for President, who is not going to come back. And Crumpler as well, who is not coming back either. So we got 4 guys transferring out. Thankfully, though, we're only losing one guy that's an 80, and that's Beatty. Now, of course, we didn't have anyone drafted, but they're going to have some players on this board by season 4 or 5. That means that we're also going to have to land a lot of these guys and be able to find a couple guys in the transfer portal, too. Unfortunately, there aren't going to be a ton of guys in the portal to be able to go after. We're locked out on a lot of them, and I would expect that to be championship contender. So that means we'll find a couple other guys in the prospect list. Why not? We got the hours. And thankfully we have some commits rolling in. We got a cornerback, Yearby. We also got another corner in McKenzie, a middle linebacker in Worthy, as well as another one in DeLuca. We're going to be able to kind of mix these guys around a little bit. And thankfully we are fulfilling a lot of needs as we get another middle linebacker, but again, someone that we might be able to kind of put over a right or left. And in this final week of recruiting, we do sign a right outside linebacker, Mitch Henson, tight end Dom Van Ginkel, kicker Brandon McGrath, and I think a lot of other guys too, except for that right end. But man, did we get a lot of these guys. Now, unfortunately, again, we didn't sign Mallory here, but we have 25 other players that we ended up signing, including a lot of gems, and also this wide receiver with 99 speed. But now we do have some position changes, and we do have 3 athletes as well, so we're going to have to put them somewhere, and thankfully, Clayton DeLuca is going to be a speed rusher, and he's going to be great on the left end. Goes up to 72. And yeah, do you think that we ended up signing too many quarterbacks? Well, we'll definitely see. I'm hoping that Woods actually progresses, and if not, I really hope that Oliveo really is our answer. Van Manen actually comes in at a 74, so we might actually start him over Dykes. Not just that, but Barrett ends up coming in at a 76, again with that 99 speed. And we have a pretty dangerous receiver room now. And even though the left side of our line actually looks pretty good, a lot of 70s and an 80 at center, we do have a 70 as a right guard and a 66 freshman as our right tackle. So we might have to move a couple guys over. And that means that our freshman Gunter is going to move over to right guard, and as a 76 will probably start now. And not just that, but our original starting right guard actually goes up to 72 as a right tackle, and also 74 as a left guard, but we need a more tackle. And actually, we're going to take Reed Mueller, who's a sophomore redshirt, and move him over to right tackle as well. He's actually going to be better than the guy that we just put there, but still, we'll have a little bit of depth too. Also, with our linebackers, we have 2 of them that are 81 overall, and if you look at our Mike linebacker and our right outside, yeah, not that great. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to move some of those guys around, but we're going to take Nyland Brown here, and we're going to put him at right outside linebacker. And one more, we got Manny Marvin, who's a 71 right outside linebacker. He's going to go to 70 at middle linebacker, and I'm hoping that in the training session, he's going to be able to progress above Westbrook. Now, unfortunately, I think our weak link is going to be our secondary. We have 2 guys around like 82, 78, but then we drop off a cliff from there. And then our free safety is a 75 overall, and then our strong safety is a 67, along with Cavazos, who ended up signing during the season. So again, I'm really hoping that training results are going to help us there. So let's hope that the new coordinators really helped out here as we go up to an 84. That's it? I mean, Sherrod jumps above Olivea, but still, I think we're going to end up keeping him in there. Again, I think his speed is going to be helpful. Dykes is still only an 83. Our receivers progressed a little bit. We got a couple in the 80s, which is great. Our tight end is an 88, which is great. Our line up in the 80s as well. Of course, Urbina and Clemens still high 70s, but still a lot better than what we had last season. Of course, our line is up in the 80s right now, too. Same with our defensive linemen. Same with our linebackers. And we got a couple good corners. Avery jumped up to a 78 and adds up to an 82. So even though we're 84 overall, we're much better than we were last season. Now, maybe actually encouraging a couple transfers here that aren't going to see the field might actually help us out a little bit, as we have a 68 overall wide receiver that's going to be gone, as well as Gaines here, and also Faulkner. Now, I don't think that that's going to make too much of a difference, but you never know. We're going to hope for the best. And thankfully, that did bump us up to an 85. But again, I think that we're going to put Oliveira in instead of Sherrod. He's going to only be here for one more year. Let's try to develop Oliveira as much as possible. So realistically, look, I don't think that this team is obviously, again, going to win the SEC championship, but we actually have a shot this year of going 6-6 and becoming bowl eligible. And even though a lot of these are on the road, it looks like we have a pretty easy early season schedule, although we are going to have to take on Alabama, number 23 Florida, and then of course at the end of the season, 4 teams in a row that are currently ranked in the top 10. So we need to get our wins in early this season. And as an 85 overall, we should be able to do that. Now, we do have 3 more seasons, or I guess 2, of being able to recruit, because that 6th season, it's not going to matter. So we need to find guys that are going to make an impact and make an impact early. And if we can find a way to get 1, 2, or even all 3 of these receivers right here, we'll have a guy with 97 speed, 93, and 94, as well as a 4-star gem. I don't know if we're going to be able to make that happen, but again, that's going to be something that we're really going to focus on here. And we're really going to need help in the secondary, so someone like Eric Gammon, who's a 3-star gem, really going to be a big help. And this is the first time this has happened, but we got an insta-commit. Nate Stallworth, who's a left outside linebacker, just instantly commits. Funny thing is, we didn't even really scout him. We just offered him a scholarship, so we're going to have to figure that out eventually. But in order to land all those other guys, we're going to have to start winning, and that's going to start this week at Washington State. They are 1-0, but we are not too bad. We're, I think, an 85 overall. We should be okay in this game. At least it'll be close. And that is a good feeling right there. First win of the season right off the bat, 24-18. Oliveira getting better. 345, 3 touchdowns and interception. Still nothing really on the ground, but hey, you know what? If we get it done in the air, I will take it. Defense, only 1 TFL, 2 sacks, and 0 interceptions. But hey, only 18 points? And that win actually gives me a little bit of confidence to bring Eric Gammon in early. He's the 3-star gem, and we really need someone at strong safety. And we're going to do this against Alabama. Now, is that a little risky and stupid? Absolutely, but hey, let's have some fun with it. But we didn't have fun with that game against NC State. They end up going up to number 24, and we end up losing 45-38. At least we scored a lot. Oliveira is actually throwing the ball pretty well. 312, 4 touchdowns and an interception. Ran it a little better, and then Etheridge is definitely our lead receiver right now. But you can definitely tell that it's our defense that's kind of the weak point right now, which is why we really want to focus on those guys, especially in the secondary. But here we go, Central Michigan, they're 2-0. How are we always facing so many good teams? But hey, we might be at that point now where it might not matter. 34-24. Nice to see that we're actually going to be competitive, and Oliveira, no mistakes. 249, 2 touchdowns, a little bit on the ground, and thankfully our defense held them a bit more. Multiple TFLs from some of these guys. Was that 9 for the game? Unfortunately, no sacks, no interceptions, but at least they stopped them running. But this is the week that we have Eric Gammon visiting. Looks like he's also got Michigan and Northwestern on his mind. So let's go out there, let's beat Alabama, and let's make sure that Michigan isn't even a thought for him. He's going to go out here, and he's going to see us just absolutely annihilate them. And hopefully we can take down this 92 overall team. Maybe I should have looked at the overall before I said that. But you can tell we haven't played a defense like Alabama, unfortunately. We have yet to get into the end zone. But we're down here in the red zone at least, and we have a chance as Martin gets up there. He gets in the end zone. At least we're making it a game. But unfortunately, it's back to a 2-possession game, and we need to get into the end zone as we hit the drag. Etheridge gets a big gain, almost up to the 50. Now let's see if he can burn the guy over on the left. Can he get over there? Maybe we shouldn't have tried that. That was a weak throw. And I saw a comment that someone said that I always miss the running back on the wheel route. And I know that we don't really have a running back going there on this, but I am never going to pronounce that guy's name correctly. But our tight end, he might get free on that right here. As he does not. But now 3rd and 17, we need to get at least a little bit closer to the first down marker. As we get it up to the... Let's go! We get up to... I don't even know who the hell that was. Definitely like a fourth string wide receiver. Either way, though, come on. We need to get, again, into the end zone somehow as we just take it short. But if we can go deep right here, that would be great. Can he beat him off the line? I don't think so. That might actually be intercepted. I mean, thankfully for us, it wasn't. And now we just need to continue to try to be aggressive as we get down there, but we don't get it. But let's go. Last chance right here. We need at least a first down. As I don't know who's going to get open. There we go, Etheridge. And he ends up grabbing it. Let's go. I honestly can't believe he caught that. So let's go. Keep being aggressive. No, that's intercepted. I am so stupid. And if it wasn't for my bad decision making, we might have actually had a chance to win that. But we go down 24-10. But at least we made it a game. I'm telling you, give us a year or two, and we're really going to be able to compete in those games. But unfortunately, I saw that Eric Gammon, who ended up visiting, did not like what he saw, and he ended up committing to Michigan right away. So maybe that wasn't the best idea. So I guess that means that Trent Johns here, who is a wide receiver that we really want to get, is going to probably have to be during the bye week because Auburn, A&M, Tennessee, and Texas are all ranked, and all in the top 11 as well. So let's go for the bye week. But we're going to have to be a little sparse with it. We'll have to figure out who we really need to bring in. But come on. FCS Southeast, we should be able to take these guys. And thankfully, we get a great game from Olive in that last one. 308 with 3 touchdowns. We ended up getting 5 touchdowns on the ground. Everyone kind of spread it around just a little bit. And of course, our defense did pretty well too. But obviously, it's an FCS team. So ending up beating them 62-10 maybe isn't that impressive. And unfortunately, it looks like we did end up losing the other wide receiver. Vildor ends up committing to Oregon. So that means that we really need to land Trent Johns here. So thankfully, we're bringing him during the bye week. But now it's time to run the gauntlet. We're taking on Auburn first. Maybe we can end up stunning them? Who knows? We've been doing well in Sim. Maybe it's a good sign. But Wanko ends up committing a 3-star cornerback, which we are going to need. Kashama, a free safety? Lawson, a middle linebacker. Please tell me we won. Holy cow, we took down Auburn. Thank you, Sim. And it's not like it was close. 46-24. Are you kidding? Alaveo with 5 touchdowns, 261. Perry led the team in rushes with just 1. Also fumbled the ball. That's great. Martin had 3 touchdowns, though. And it looks like the defense didn't get a ton of pressure, but that was mostly the offense. And honestly, this team is looking really good this season. Halfway through, we have 17-20 with Alaveo with 18 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. He's really improved from last season. Obviously, our rushing attack is not extremely exciting. Dyke's only 3.9 per carry, 286 and 3 touchdowns. Etheridge is leading all the receivers, 564 touchdowns. Martin with 6 tutties. Perry with 5. Their defense, again, not extremely strong, but not too bad. Enough to be able to keep us in the run for a bowl game this season. Thankfully for us, Florida's 2-4 and 0-3 in conference. Maybe we can pick up another big win, but this one's going to be on the road, so it might be a little tougher. Now with the SEC Defensive Player of the Week with 3 TFLs and a sack, it means we should have won, right? But of course we didn't. We lost a close one, 43-41. Our defense definitely needs to improve. But Alavea, 6 touchdowns, 280. But we should be fine against Arkansas. They're 4-4. Again, we're getting close to bowl eligibility, and this win would put us 1 step closer. And let's go! The 4-star gem wide receiver Trent Johns commits. Sidney Kingsbury, the cornerback. Jaron Russo, free safety. But despite that, and my weird pronunciation of that guy's name, we end up losing to Arkansas 34-28. It's nice that we're getting close, but we need to pull these out. Alavea had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, nothing on the ground. We need to pick that up. But now it's time to help our own cause as we take on number 20 Texas A&M, who's only 5-3. So I think we have a chance here. They're an 89 overall. Let's go out there and let's take them down. Unfortunately, this has been an extremely uneventful game so far. But let's see if we can pick up a first down and try to potentially tie. And you better believe we're going to. And we're going to go with the speed option right here as we pitch it out. Get out there, buddy. Let's go, Dykes. Gets out for the first down all the way down to the 6. So let's just get this into the end zone on the ground. Can he get out there? Let's go. Cuts it up all the way down to the 2. It's like he didn't go down initially. But either way, we get it to Hollis. He gets in the end zone and we got a tie game. Not just that, but we're going to be getting it back too. And with good field position as well, because that was a muffed punt. Let's try to work downfield and be able to get a touchdown here. That would be ideal as we get it out to the halfback and unfortunately loses 3. Realistically, all we need to do is hold on to the ball and be able to potentially get a field goal as he drops it. That was right in your hands. Isn't that just rough sometimes? You feel like you have it, but then apparently you don't. As we get up there, what happened? Unfortunately, they would end up getting a field goal. And now we got to find a way to either tie it or end up getting in the end zone for the win. Great out on that one. And we got ourselves almost down to midfield. Let's go. Let's have a nice little drive here as we scramble out. Oh, we got a big lane. Let's get a big run right here. We should go down, but that's okay. 24. It's a little dangerous there to not end up. Let's go. Nice pass, but he drops it. I know, risky to not end up sliding there. That is totally on me, but come on. We need to get into the end zone. Oh, he's open. Oh, no, he's not. No. And that's how it's going to end. Another interception, dude. I am just ruining this season myself. And that is why I should go get some sleep. But screw it. I'm finishing this season tonight. And that means that we need to win 2 of our next 3 games. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do that against Georgia. And we do end up going down, but it was a close game, 31-25. But we need to pull out the wins in these. Olivea, 2 interceptions and a touchdown, 344. And again, nothing on the ground. We really need to develop the Van Manen. So if we don't beat Tennessee here, our bowl hopes are pretty much smashed. And I hope that's a good sign. Gio Perry, 149 and 2 touchdowns on 11 receptions. And we do end up winning. We are 5-6 now, which means we need to take down Texas. That's going to be difficult. But hey, 38-35 against Tennessee. We might have a chance here. Now, they are number 9 in the country. They are 8-3. However, oh no, they're a 92 overall. Oh no, this is going to be tough. All right, we need to go out here and bring our A game. And surprisingly enough, we're keeping it a game here with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. Let's see if we can end up picking up a score here, or at least a field goal. But realistically, I do not want to go into overtime. We've done that before and it has not worked out for us, so let's try to get in the end zone. Obviously, that's what we're always trying to do, but still, it doesn't work out that way sometimes, as Etheridge catches it for 6. But we got 2 minutes left. Let's go. Let's find a way to pick this up. That gets swatted down. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, but here's a good idea right here, as unfortunately that is going to be a flag. I wonder what that's going to be. Oh, it's a roughing the passer. I don't know. I need new batteries in this, apparently, because I did not feel that rumble. Let's try to be a little safe with this. Let's go with that jet touch pass. And let's see if we can get the speed around. Let's go. Good spin move all the way up to the 16. So just to get the fresh set of downs, let's just run it right up the middle here. And let's pick that up. Again, we don't want to make any stupid decisions. And even though we want to get in the end zone, we also want to waste a lot of time. And at the very least, we are in field goal range. So again, limiting mistakes is what we want to do, and oh, we can't hold on to it. Perry had that one really good game, so I thought that we could really trust him there. And let's go. He gets free. Way to go. We get in the end zone, and we got ourselves a big lead with less than a minute to go. And the good thing is they need to get in the end zone to end up winning. They can't even tie it. Get over there, and we got the pick. Let's go! They do have 3 timeouts, so we have to waste those. And apparently Sim did not do a good job of that, but still, 10 seconds left. We just need to hold them. Everyone drop back into coverage. Don't let anyone get behind you. And at this point, I really just want to play prevent. They have 91 yards to go with 6 seconds. Come on. Get in there. We end up taking him for a safety. And we're going to win 19-13. What a crazy way to end that game. I can't believe we ended up taking down Texas. And now we have a chance to go to a bowl game. And thanks to that big win, George Ziemba, a strong safety, ends up committing. Not just that, but the defensive tackle, Jamerson Adai, the cornerback, Trevor McCartney. That's great. We're getting more defensive players. And we also got another commit, right outside linebacker, Byard. We also have another right outside linebacker as well. That's great to see, but did we get a bowl game? Whoa, wide receiver won the Heisman this year with 21 touchdowns. Wow. And it looks like we got snubbed for a bowl game. Are you kidding me? At least it's early National Signing Day. That'll make me feel a little bit better. And we do have a lot of normals, but Lawson is a star, and Kashama is an elite free safety. That's great to see. We have a star wide receiver in Trent Johns. Kind of knew that was going to happen. But again, a lot of normals, a star with Bayard. The question is, how are these guys going to end up developing over the next 2 years? And unfortunately, we lost our offensive coordinator, so we're going to have to find a brand new one. Let's hope that we can find someone who's going to fit our scheme. And I think we're going to have to go after Jamie Harris. I know not a ton in the motivator, but at least they're a pretty good tactician, and that C Prestige isn't bad either. But I'm still upset we ended up getting snubbed for a bowl game. At least we went 6-6 though. So Notre Dame and Oregon are going to duke it out here in the national championship game. And good for Notre Dame taking down Oregon just by 2 points though. I can't believe it's taking all the way to season 5 to potentially make a bowl game. But look at that, we actually have a chance of getting someone drafted. I don't think we're going to be able to persuade them, but let's give it a shot. Didn't think so. We're going to be losing some other really good guys too, but I think the development of some of these new guys are going to actually make a big difference. And with all those guys leaving, it's nice that we're going to get some guys to replace them as CJ Cantwell ends up committing. And look at that, our tight end ended up going in the 4th round. But looking at the transfer portal, we are just locked out on pretty much anyone that is really good. A lot of these 4-stars, we're just completely out of it. But we'll still go after a couple of these guys that maybe needs. We'll have a right tackle, a cornerback, but again, we're getting down into the 3 stars and the 2 stars. But the good thing though is these guys that are transfers are a little seasoned. So you see guys like Framboni here who have 80 run block power, 78 pass block power, and 89 strength. Not too bad. Thankfully, it only took 1 week to get another recruit. We got a middle linebacker, Denton. And thankfully, we're getting a lot of these transfers too, as we get Framboni, the right tackle, and also Gunter, the corner, and also Kluse, the wide receiver, Robinson, the center, and DeGear, the right end. Did we just get everyone? Surprisingly enough, we did. So we're pretty much done for recruiting now. So let's see if we got any good gems here, as DeGear is actually a star development, but normal for pretty much everyone else except for Framboni as well. But again, we do only have 2 years to develop these guys. We're already getting into season 5, if you can believe it. And it looks like Denton as a speed rusher, probably going to go at left end. But other than that, I think everyone's in the right position. I don't think moving around anyone is going to really change too much. We just have to really rely on the training results, which hopefully we're going to see some really good stuff. And we're still an 85, but we're an 87 overall offense. Olivea goes up to an 87. That's not too bad. Dykes is an 89. But Van Manen ended up not going up too much. I was hoping he was going to develop a little bit quicker. We got 99 speed wide receiver, of course, Verrett. 83 overall, which is great. Tight end 79, 85 on our tackle, 88, 89, 87, 84, 85 on our left end, 89 on the right. Brady's going to be good. Our defensive tackles look great. Our linebackers, on the other hand, look like they need some help. Corners 83, 89, 79, 83 free safety, and 84 strong safety. Thankfully, we're going to have all these guys for the rest of the rebuild, but man, we need them to develop a little bit more if we want to win the championship in our 6th season. But at this point, we'll be lucky if we even get into the SEC championship. But despite the jump in overall going up to the 86 with an 89 offense, I still don't know if we're going to be able to make a huge leap this year. I'm hoping that we can get at least 8 wins and at least make ourselves somewhat viable to be able to get into the national championship in our 6th season. But again, we need some really big jumps. But I really hope that this team is actually pretty good this season, has at least like 8 or 9 wins, just to give me a little bit of hope for season 6. But again, since we are in season 5, we're going to only be recruiting some guys that I think are really going to help us out right away. So no 3 stars this year. We're going to go big and just try to go for some 5 or 4 stars because again, realistically, with only 1 year left, it's really only possible if those guys end up starting. Thankfully, there are a lot of guys that we can actually still go after. Now, even though there are a lot of 5 stars here, we're going to look at some 4 stars as well. So even if this strategy doesn't necessarily seem smart, I think it's going to end up working out for us because, again, even if we do get a couple 3 stars and they end up having some really good development, it's not like they're going to come in at like an 80 overall. You know, it's going to take them a year to develop and we just don't have that time. Now, do I think that we actually have a good chance at a lot of these guys? No, not necessarily, but hey, you know what? If we focus on them and don't put a lot of hours into other guys, then we might be able to get lucky and be able to land them. And you should know that a guy with a name like Jaden Smoker is going to be a gem. But as much as I'd like to land a guy like this with 94 speed and 90 acceleration, we really need to focus on now. Because again, we only have 2 seasons left to be able to win this entire thing. And where we stand right now, we're not even close to being able to reach that. So that means we really need to start the season with a win. And we are at home against Marshall. It's a very winnable game. Let's see if we can actually pull it out. And for the 5th season in a row, we do not. 0-1, and now we have to face Kentucky next. And even though they are an SEC opponent, at least it's not the most difficult one, so let's hope that we can go out there and take them as well, but don't have high hopes again. And unfortunately, that Marshall game was pretty close, 24-23, but Kentucky took us down 27-14. Apparently, we still can't compete because Oliveira still got 2 interceptions in that game. And since we are struggling with that right now, we may as well actually switch up the offensive playbook to what our offensive coordinator likes to run. So we're going to go to a pro-style generic. It's not something I've run before, but hell, you know, we're kind of desperate now. And if we're going to test that new playbook, you better believe it's going to be against an FCS team. So let's send through this. Let's see how we do. We've seen that we've actually been able to score a lot of points against FCS teams before, so let's see if we can do with this playbook as well. And maybe not as many as we had in the past, but still, 48 points isn't too bad. And Oliveira 328 with 4 touchdowns. That's a little better than usual. But again, that was against an FCS team. Let's see how we do against Nevada. And maybe we made the right decision here. 31-21, nice win right there. And Oliveira 323 again with 4 touchdowns. And we did get some yards on the ground as well, so we'll definitely take that. Now, an unfortunate thing that I just realized is we only have 2 weeks that we're going to be able to bring in recruits, so we're only playing 2 games this season. That is really unfortunate, but as long as we keep winning in Sim, I'll be pretty happy. Another conference matchup. Let's see if we can take down Arkansas. And maybe the change of the playbook actually made a difference. 38-31, big win right there. Thankfully, Oliveira had 5 touchdowns, 296. A little bit on the ground, not as much as I was hoping, but still not too bad. Defense, maybe not a ton of pressure, but 2 sacks and an interception, we'll take it. So that means we need to keep up our winning ways against number 2, Alabama. 7-0, 91 overall, but hey, our overall is creeping up and our offense is at an 89. Maybe we can actually do this with the right playbook. And beating Alabama at home would just be huge, as we're actually up by 1 possession here near the end of the first half. We're going to go for the screen to be able to pick up the first down. And unfortunately, well, we do, but we should have cut it up. We totally had a bigger lane right there, but that's totally on me. But let's go. We just need a little first down here as we get close right up the middle to the 15. So let's keep this up right here. We're getting close to the end zone. And that's going to be about another 6 yards closer. So maybe not big plays, but they're safe plays, at least right now. As we are going to end up kind of rolling out here, and we got a big lane here to be able to get the touchdown. Let's go. And is this really the number 2 team in the nation? How are we beating them 28-7? Our team is not that good, I'm sorry. I mean, look, no offense to them because they are a pretty talented group of players, but my goodness, man, to be able to take down the number 2 team that's undefeated, I mean, that's honestly just crazy. So let's go. Let's just try to run the rest of the clock out here. But hey, we're just going to cap it off with a field goal. Let's go up by a full 4 possessions and be able to take the lead. And look at that. We just absolutely stunned Alabama 38-15. I don't know if it's the playbook or if it's just the team is getting a little bit better, but if this is going to be the rest of the season, maybe we have a chance in the SEC. I mean, if Oliveira keeps being sharp in the passing game, 239 with 3 touchdowns, we'll take it. Hollis had some pretty good rushes as well. He had a touchdown, Oliveira on the ground as well. But Kloosman continuing to be, I think, our lead receiver right now. And Oliveira is doing better than I expected halfway through the season. 1,600 yards, 19 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. Looks like we did have our backup get in. I would imagine that was during the FCS game. Dykes, 267 on the ground with 2 touchdowns. Hollis, 147 with 1 touchdown as well. I think he's just kind of, yeah, it looks like Dykes unfortunately is injured, so Hollis has been the one to take over. But Oliveira, of course, on the ground as well with 2 touchdowns. Goose has been our lead receiver, 562, 9 touchdowns. Perry, 377, 4. And Van Ginkel, 281 with 2 touchdowns. I feel like Barrett should get mixed in there a little bit more, but again, Kloos being our lead receiver is just perfectly fine for me. Not getting a lot of pressure, unfortunately. 3-3-2-2 in terms of TFLs. Thankfully, we do have Chancellor who has 4 sacks. Meredith has 3. Ritzman has 2.5. But man, we need to pick it up a little bit. Only 3 interceptions. It's definitely been our offense to really carry us. But if they can continue to keep it up, then things like this are going to continue to happen. Kane Hunter, the 4-star tight end signs. But question is, are we going to have that same luck against Florida? This one's on the road, but again, another conference matchup. And the fact that we got another tight end leads me to believe that we potentially won. And we did, although it was a pretty close game, 27-24, but a win is a win. As Oliveira, again, no mistakes, 209, 2 touchdowns, Hollis 1 on the ground. And I guess our defense played well enough to be able to keep us in, despite the fact that we only had 1 sack and 1 interception. So apparently we can take down Alabama and Florida, but we can't take down UMass. That's pretty surprising. Oliveira had 1 interception, but 317, 3 touchdowns. Maybe it's just our defense that is just lacking. We need to figure something out. But at least we get a chance to hop in this game against Auburn. We're actually pretty much right on par. 5-3, 5-4. And despite the fact that we're an 86 overall team in general, our defense is really bringing us down. I think we have a really good shot here. If we win this one, we become bowl eligible, and we still only have 1 loss in the SEC. Let's go out there and take them down. So you mean to tell me that this Kent State team that's beating Auburn 14-10 couldn't take down UMass? Okay, I gotcha. Let's see. Oh, stays on his feet. Let's go, Hollis. That looked like it should have been a TFL, but man, I'm glad he actually has a little bit of skill right there. As we're just going to take the drag, we'll take the first down to Perry. So Coach really wants to go with the QB draw, so hey, I'm not going to say no to him. Am I right? As we get to the outside, we get in the end zone. It's just really unfortunate that they would respond, and now on 3rd and 5, we got to keep this drive alive, as thankfully we do over to Barrett, and he stays on his feet for a first. But at this point, we just need to continue to maintain possession, and actually, if we can get in the end zone, that'd be even better. Granted, we do not want to give them a ton of time here, so maybe staying out of the end zone would be a good idea, but if we're going to potentially get the score, I guess may as well take it. But thankfully, they've not been very efficient with their time, and now with 20 seconds left, we have a chance to just close the door on them. I thought that was picked! He was right there to grab it, and the ball went through his hands and into the actual receivers. But someone, no shot, just grab it. That was the most ridiculous onside kick I've ever seen. There's no way that we missed it, then they missed it, and then we had to get it ourselves. That doesn't matter. We won 28-25. That's all I give a about. And Kluse continuing to be just a best offensive player that we have. 3 touchdowns and 179. Not a very convincing win, but at least it's a win. And thankfully that was enough to get the 5-star receiver Kukwa in. But unfortunately, that's it. The good thing about that signing is we have someone who's probably going to come in next year and be automatically at least our number 3 receiver. And right now, as it stands, we're close to the top of the SEC. Georgia is still undefeated, but Alabama, Arkansas, and us are there at 1 loss. Everyone else is 3 losses or more, so it's just a 4-team race. And the fact that we were able to take down Texas on the road 24-20 is a damn good promising sign. I mean, Oliveira with 2 interceptions in that one, but still enough to be able to keep us in it. And Kluse, 180 yards with 3 touchdowns again. He is definitely our offensive player of the year. Pretty good TFLs, 1 essential sack there, but no interceptions. Defense is at least picking it up on the line. And that last week knocked Arkansas pretty much out of it. Now it's just us, Georgia, and Alabama. And apparently that gave us a ton of confidence because we just took down Tennessee big time, 31-8. They didn't score until the 4th quarter, and Oliveira with 4 touchdowns. Absolutely insane. Kluse with another 2 touchdowns himself, another 100-yard game. Then Manning actually got in an average 10 per carry. That is great to see. And the defense picked it up, man. 8 TFLs, 4 sacks, no interceptions again. We might need to actually look at the transfer portal for some guys in the secondary. And realistically, I think that puts us in the SEC championship game. Alabama is the next team with 2 losses, and we already beat them this season, so we hold the tiebreaker. So even if we lose this last game, I think we have it. It's not to say that we don't want to win this game against LSU, but still, it's nice to know that we might actually have a spot sealed up. But it doesn't matter, and somehow, I know you guys can barely see that, but we jumped up to number 11 after that. And we are going to be taking on number 5 Georgia in the SEC championship game. I guess that change of the playbook actually made a big difference early in the season. And we're really going to need a big win against Georgia too, because chances are Paul Cobb's going to end up committing to them before we even face him in the SEC championship game. So let's get some preemptive revenge on him. And just like I said, he would end up committing to them. So let's go out there, let's get the revenge, and let's end up winning the championship. But hey, at least Stephen Gates ends up committing, a 4-star right tackle. But like I said earlier, man, I think that the change of the playbook made a big difference. Oliveira over 3,000 yards now. 38 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions. Obviously, our rushing attack hasn't been great, but we've been spreading it around a little bit. I mean, Dykes ended up getting injured early in the season. Hollis ended up taking over. Van Manen has gotten in a little bit, so it's nice to see that we have some talented running backs. But Kluse, man, almost 1,300 yards with 20 touchdowns this season. This guy isn't in the Heisman running. I would be super surprised. But man, Ritt's been quietly actually having a pretty good season. 9 TFLs, 4 sacks and Chancellor with 5.5 himself. But again, we really need to pick up the interceptions. And to be fair, since we are number 11 and we just hopped up in the top 25, I can understand him not being here, but come on, man. I mean, he is 4th in the nation in receiving yards and leading everyone in touchdowns. So I think he deserves a little bit of respect here. But if he isn't winning a Heisman, you better believe we're getting him an SEC championship before he ends up graduating. But man, it's going to be a tough one. A 93 overall, number 5 rated Georgia Bulldogs against our 86 overall Kent State Golden Flashes. Oh boy. But don't get me wrong, we played and beaten some pretty good teams this season. I mean, like, look at Alabama. But I think Georgia's just a completely different beast, especially with that 94 overall defense. Either way, at least it's tied up right here. We're still standing a chance as we end up getting close. Who drops the ball? Bro would have had a first down and more if he would have just held on to it. But unfortunately, that does not seem to be the case. And unfortunately, we're not even making good throws either, which is going to make this even more difficult. But thankfully, we actually get Lacumbo out there, and he gets it all the way down to the 38. I'm sorry, Cluse has been our best receiver? Come on, that was a great route by him. Got to give him a lot of credit for that. Thankfully, Cluse hangs on to that one finally. So we don't have much time left, and we do only have 1 timeout, but we might have had him deep. Get there. Oh, just got to hit that a little better. Just a little better of a throw, I think, might have had him. But let's go. Let's get Cluse. No, again. That's another one that just pops out of his hands, and now we need to hit this big field goal to go up. Question is, can we get it? That's online. Is it the distance? We do! We go up by 3. And surprisingly enough, with 3.5 to go, that's still the same score as we get it right up the middle, and thankfully we keep the clock going. So at this point, it's all about just keeping the ball and maintaining the clock, as well as we get up there for a first down. Sorry, I don't mean to sound extremely surprised, but I'm extremely surprised. Against like this defense, that's insane. Again, like I said before, they're a 94 overall defense. I don't know how our offense is actually kind of running all over them. I mean, don't get me wrong, we haven't scored a ton of points, but we've been able to maintain a lead, which is not something I would have expected against a team like Georgia. But still, to be able to get into the end zone one more time would be an absolute blessing, but we do not have the speed to get out to the left. And well, I think that we should just kind of run it here and just kind of take our 3. Coach wants to go for it, and you know what? That could have been the right call. So instead, we're pretty much going to keep an extra like 40 seconds on the clock and just go up by 6. But now they need a touchdown to win. And with me playing defense, that's all but inevitable. Thankfully, we have all 3 timeouts though. So if we need them, we can always end up using them as we get through the line. Can we get there? And he ends up throwing it out. We just need to continue to have the same type of coverage downfield and also get a little bit of pressure here. As thankfully we get through, and that's going to be a big sack. That's what she said. Now 3rd and 18. Let's get a big stop again. Thank you for knocking that out. I don't know why he didn't jump to intercept it. That's rough because we hit Y to go for it, and he just didn't. Minute 13, 4th and 18. We win the championship if we stop them right here. How did he get behind our defense? I legit have no words for that. Like I said, they were going to get in the end zone. Now we got a chance to be able to go up here. Again, we need some really big things to happen for us, though. But realistically, we only need 3 to end up winning here. So I think we can get that. Get out there. No, out of reach. And I need to remember that we do have all 3 timeouts. So it's not like we are in a huge rush. But if we can get a big play like that. And that's how it's going to end, really. And what could have been a very winnable SEC championship game ends up going down 21-20. I can't believe that guy just burnt our defense. We had just the game in hand. That's pretty much why those guys have been ranked in the top 10 pretty much all season. And why they may end up winning the national championship game. So I don't think we're going to be getting into the playoffs. However, we have a chance to get a really good bowl game as we do end up getting the free safety to sign. And as I suspected, we are going to be playing UCLA in the RielaQuest Bowl. Hopefully next season that's going to be a playoff game. But before we get into that game, let's see if any of these guys are actually going to end up starting for us next season. As it looks like Schwab, even though he is a 3-star, does have impact. Gates is an impact. At least Gillikin's going to be a star. Another impact. A normal on our 4-star tight end. And then, of course, an impact on our physical receiver. It's crazy. 3rd in the nation, only impact. Which means the chances of them making an impact next season are probably going to be pretty low. But we'll see. Let's go out there against UCLA. Let's make this a short game and let's have fun. But we do have to remember, this is our first bowl game in this rebuild. And we have a chance to start to put this away right here as they end up going play action. But unfortunately, oh, I thought they caught it. We knocked it out. Now, honestly, this game hasn't necessarily been extremely exciting, but thankfully we've been able to start to put it away. I mean, now, if this was a playoff game, I'd be a little more excited. But still, you know what? As long as we get some kind of XP from this as well, and are able to actually pick up a win in a bowl game, I'll be happy. Now, question is this type of production going to carry over into next season? That's something that we're going to have to find out in the next season. I mean, it's not like things are going to get any easier or necessarily any tougher. We're already in the hardest conference in football. We just need to make sure that we go out there next season and be able to take care of those teams that for some reason always constantly give us issues. Let's go. Dykes gets up to the 1 yard line. And they're expecting the run on 4th and inches. But no. We're going out to our halfback, who gets around him, spins, and gets into the end zone. I thought he was going to be short, but no. Not Dykes. And excuse me, that was Van Manen, who's going to be our starting running back next season, I would imagine. I get it, maybe not the biggest feat, especially since we have dreams of winning a national championship, but at least it's a step one. It's just unfortunate that it came into the second to last season. But at least we can say we were a winner of something. We lost the SEC championship game, but at least we won a bowl game. And hey, Georgia did not make it to the national championship game. Instead, it was USC versus California. USC ended up taking it 34-31. And thankfully, this is the first season where we didn't have anyone want to transfer. And when we're number 14 in the nation, I totally get it, but it is a little unfortunate that we are losing a lot of good guys, especially ones in the 80s. And thankfully, Dykes did end up getting drafted in the 7th round, so at least we had one guy go to the NFL. But now we need to really look at the transfer portal and see if we can get some guys that can help us right this second. And there aren't necessarily many, but we're going to do our best to sign as many as possible, especially in positions that we have the need for. And honestly, if we're able to get Flanagan with 88 acceleration, 96 speed, 98 change of direction, then a man coverage of 87, bro, we might actually have him start next season. Well, despite the fact that we didn't get the cornerback that we wanted, we did get Dustin Parrish, the one guy who's going to be a great power rusher. We also got a right guard in Dexter Amerson, and also Taylor Norris, the tight end. Great, 4 tight ends, and another free safety too. So even though it is a small class of 11, again, these are guys that are going to contribute right away, or at least have a chance to. So let's just get one look at everyone's depth traits, as McGee came in as an impact, not bad for a 4-star free safety. Same with Norris, same with Amerson. Normal on Parrish, which is extremely surprising, and a star on the quarterback that we're not going to need. And we'll look at some other position changes in a minute, but the 5-star who came in, Kukwa, is actually going to be a really incredible tight end and even a halfback. But I have said that we need help in the secondary. But for now, I'm going to put him at tight end and see where everyone else is going to go. And surprisingly enough, that one quarterback that we just brought in from the transfer portal is an 86, so depending on how the training results go, he might end up starting. But the offensive line, though, looks pretty damn good, except for our center, which means that our left guard, Browning, is going to move from 87 over to an 86 as a center. Now, unfortunately, our defensive tackles need some help because we really don't have many left, so we're going to have to take some of these guys who are actually going to be great on the ends and put them at D tackle just to kind of make up for the loss. Now I really need the training results to bail me out. And it looks like they helped just a little bit. We're up to a 90 overall for the first time in this rebuild, and we're really going to need that here in year 6. As Olivea goes up to a 93 overall. Not too bad. We take that. Van Manen takes a big jump up to 88. It's great to see. Our receivers are still a little mid, but Barrett at least is a 99 speed. Johns is a 94 speed. Up at an 83 total. Our one tight end, Van Ginkel, goes up to a 79, but that's not going to matter with our freshman that's over there. Our offensive line looks good. Everyone in the upper 80s, low 90s. Our left ends, 88, 88, 90 on the right end. Obviously, our defensive tackles leave a little bit to be desired. Our linebackers are a little rough too, a little light, but thankfully our secondary is looking a little bit better. Everyone at least in the 80s, so I'm hoping that we're going to see a big jump from our defense this season. And honestly, our season this year doesn't look extremely daunting. Somehow we're up to number 5 in the preseason poll, but looks like we have Maryland, FCS East, Jacksonville State, which unfortunately is ranked. We have Coastal Carolina, 18 Auburn, Florida, number 4 Alabama yet again, Arkansas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Missouri, and LSU. Not as many ranked opponents as we had in the last couple seasons. So that gives me a little more hope too. And since we're not going to be recruiting or anything like that, this is the final look at the team that hopefully will get us the championship. Olivea, again, 93 overall quarterback is going to be a big help. We We only have one halfback, so let's hope he just doesn't get injured at all. Fortunately, we do have some pretty decent receivers. Our tight ends actually look pretty good. Kukla actually goes up to an 82. Would prefer to have him at halfback, but still, won't be a bad tight end as well. Again, our offensive line looks really, really good. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to keep Oliveira really safe. Obviously, our ends are pretty damn good too. Wish we could have moved one of them to defensive tackle, but they're still going to be all right. Our linebacking crew could be a little bit better, but still, mid-80s and anything to scoff at. Same with our corners, and then our safeties look pretty good too. Again, maybe not incredibly impressive, but this 91 overall is a lot better than what we've had any other season. But question is, can this team actually produce when it actually counts? We'll find out in week 1 against Maryland. Are we going to stay in the top 5? Not only are we still in the top 5, but we ended up beating them 28-0. We somehow ended up shutting them out. Oliveira, almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not too bad on the ground with Van Manen. And of course, Verrett, 121 and 2 touchdowns himself. And the defense just found a way to get it done. Not a lot in terms of, I guess, stops, 2 interceptions and 2 sacks, but that's about it. But if the defense is still going to give up 0 points, then hell, we'll definitely take it. Now again, since this isn't a season where we're going to be recruiting, we're going to pick 3 games to be able to kind of hop into, to be able to kind of have our little influence into it. It's just not going to be an FCS game, because we're going to end up beating them 34-0, and of course, we're going to have some pretty good stats with that. Oliveira, 316, 3 touchdowns. Van Manen, 166 on the ground with a touchdown, and then Verrett, 140 and a touchdown. I think we found our main 3 guys on offense. Of course, we had 6 TFLs, we had 1 sack, and 1 interception as well. Enough for a dub. But looking at the schedule, looks like we have a couple of ranked teams on here. We have Jacksonville State this week. We're going to have Auburn in a couple weeks, and then Florida and Alabama. Now, as much as I'd love to play the Jacksonville State game, I think we're going to end up simming through it, mainly because I want to make sure that we end up facing the ranked opponents in our conference. So let's sim through this one. Let's hope that we can take down the other ones later. And man, that wasn't even a contest. 39-10, we absolutely stomped them. Thankfully, Oliveira had another pretty perfect game, 252, 2 touchdowns. Van Manen, again, 101 on the ground. I knew he was going to be great. Verrett with the 2 touchdowns in the air. And, of course, our defense, nothing extremely stellar, although 2 sacks right there and 2 interceptions, but enough to win. And thankfully, we had a similar result facing Coastal Carolina, although this one was much closer, 24-21. But, hey, we end up staying in the top 5. We're still doing well this season. Oliveira is still with no interceptions so far. 2 touchdowns for Van Manen, and we actually had a bit more on defense. A dive with 3 TFLs, and also I see a sack as well. 3 total for the team and 2 interceptions. But now we got a big matchup against Auburn. They're number 6 in the nation. We are number 2. And we're both undefeated, but thankfully for us, we do have that overall advantage. Question is that going to matter when we hop into the game? Now, the answer to that right now is no, because we are unfortunately down 7-0 here with just a minute and a half to go in the half as we end up hitting Verrett, of course, for the first down. But we're going to need a lot more than that if we think we're going to end up getting anything right here, as we end up hitting Lacumbo, again, up to about the 42. Sorry, I don't know why I was so shocked on that one. Either way, let's see if we can pick this up. We're going to go short here over to Norris and have him get out of bounds. Now, we have to remember we do have all 3 timeouts, and that's great, but is that going to matter as we get this screen pass, and he did not block the right guy? We still ended up getting the first down on that one, but still, as we get the halfback angle route, let's go, and we got a first down up to Manhannon. I don't know why I want to keep calling him Manhannon when he's Van Hanen, but that's okay. We're not gonna question that, as Verrett gets up for the first down. And we just got to finish this drive off right here, as thankfully we'll end up taking that route right there down to the 1-yard line. I thought he was in, but apparently not, as we end up going here and we end up hitting the short route, and that hits him in the head. That's all right. Our freshman cookwog right here is going to end up catching this one on the drag, and we got ourselves a touchdown. Now we just got to do it again, as it is a tie game now. So let's keep this up, as thankfully we get the blocks that we need, and we get another one right there as Van Hanen gets it all the way down to the 28. Unfortunately, we are facing a 3rd and 9 right here, so we need to pick up the first down, and unfortunately we can't even complete it. The good news though is we're going to be able to get 3 here, as long as we actually get an accurate kick. And oh my gosh, that is just barely in. I totally thought that was going to be wild, but thankfully for us it wasn't. And we actually had that right there, but we couldn't stop them. Unfortunately, they did fake me out right there, but here we go. 3rd and 7, we need to pick up the big stop right here. Let's get through, disrupt, and we just dropped the pick. The good news is we do have possession again. They did end up punting, and now we need to pick up a couple first downs to be able to end this game, as we end up picking up 4 on that. So let's focus on maintaining possession right here, because we're going to need it. As thankfully we end up hitting Cookwall over there, and that's going to be a big first down. And here's where those timeouts are going to start to be used, as thankfully for us, we end up getting a first down on the first one. Now, the question is, can we do that one more time? Because that's going to be able to seal the game as Van Manen gets out there. I'm going to continue to mispronounce that for some bizarre reason as we spin and we get all the way down to about the 6. Van Manen. I need to remember that. Van Manen. As he goes right up the middle right here. And he gets a couple extra yards. But thankfully after this one, we can start to run the clock down because they have no more timeouts. Or instead, we'll just get in the end zone and we'll take a 2-possession lead. Now, they would end up scoring, but they need to get an onside kick here to even have a chance. As, thank God we end up getting it back. That was a close one, but we take down number 6 Auburn and we win 17-14. Not an overly impressive game, but it's a dub against a big team. The question is, can we maintain this luck against number 13 Florida, who's going to be our next opponent? Obviously, we do have a couple of unranked opponents coming up too, especially ones that are under 500. So I think it's going to be Florida and probably Ole Miss that we end up facing. We might have to end up relying on Sim for LSU, but we'll see what happens when we get to week 11. But again, we had a chance to take on number 13 Florida as we are number 1 Kent State. Didn't think you'd ever hear that one. And we do have a pretty good overall advantage, but we are on the road, so it might be a little tough. Let's just go out there, do our best, and let's see if we can maintain our undefeated streak. And honestly, taking a really early lead on them would be extremely nice here, as we are down in the red zone with the chance to be able to score as we get it up to Norris, who's going to get all the way into the end zone for the first score of the game. Now, they would respond, but thanks to a safety, we do have a 2-point lead as we just try to pound it right up the middle here just to be able to get the first down, and we do. The question is, can we pick up the first down here on 3rd and 6? We're going to see as we end up getting our tight end up to a 4th and inches. And I'm going to trust Van Manen here. He's been great all season just to be able to pick up this first down, and he doesn't. Thankfully, that decision would not come back to bite us in the ass, as it's still 9-7 here as we just run to the outside and we just have to maintain the possession now. Now again, it might not seem like it would be an impressive win, but hey, you know what? As long as we pick up a win, that's going to be the most important thing here. But that's if we're able to pick up another first down and are able to, again, kind of maintain possession here. But that is going to require a big run by Van Manen here as he ends up going right up the middle and he's got a big first down. Big enough that we're going to be able to kneel this ball and be able to run the clock completely out. As again, not an impressive win, but another big win over a top 25 team, 9-7 over number 13 Florida. And instead of looking at the stats of that game, let's look at the season stats. That's going to make me feel a lot better. Olivea, almost 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns to only 1 interception, so at least very few mistakes, but wish we were doing more in the air. But Van Manen, on track of having over 1,000 rushing yards, 548 with 5 touchdowns. Wish he would get a little bit more. Now we got Barrett, who's going to be our lead receiver right now with 497, 5 touchdowns. Cookwell at 237, Norris 220. Looks like our 2 tight ends are going to be our 2 top 3 leading receivers. That's kind of insane. Our defense picking it up a little bit. Adai and Ali, 4 TFLs. DeLuca with 3 and a couple guys with 2. And of course, Adai is leading us in sacks with 3.5. And then Ali and Graves with 2 apiece. Now, we actually have, 7 interceptions right there with Mayo with 2 of them. So, again, our defense is picking up from last season. But now we only have 1 game to hop into, and we have 3 ranked opponents left. Do we take on 3-3 Alabama, 5-1 Ole Miss, or 5-1 LSU? Honestly, since they are 3-3 and we have a couple 5-1 opponents coming up next, we're going to send through Alabama and just hope for the best right now. Well, we beat them, but just barely. 24-21, we will take a dub, though. Zalavea had an interception, but 3 touchdowns, 252. Van Manen not as productive on the ground as he's been before, but at least, again, it was enough to be able to pick up the win. We had 5 TFLs. We had 5 sacks total, no interceptions, so not too bad though. But now we're getting into trap game territory. We're on the road against 1-7 Arkansas. It's not won a game in the SEC, so let's make sure that we're not the first one. But thankfully we were prepared. We won 28-10. It's nice to see our team being able to pick up big games like that, especially on the road. Olivier did have an interception again though. 3 touchdowns, 212 through the air. Van Manen over 100 yards and a touchdown. John's leading the team in receptions, 107, 2 touchdowns himself, and the defense looking pretty decent, 2 TFLs, 1 sack, and 4 interceptions. Big game for the secondary. And since Ole Miss has lost a couple games, I think we're actually going to wait for the game against LSU. We just need to hope that that's not a big mistake, because we are going to be simming through 3 more games in a row, but this one at least is at home against South Carolina. But that was a lot closer than I was expecting, 27-20, but again, at least it's a dub. Olivea having at least 1 interception in every game, though. Wish he was thrown for more than over 200 yards, or at least hopefully it'd be over 300 yards at some point. But it's not too bad. At least our offense looks competent, and our defense is really kind of holding them to what they need to hold them to. But question is, can we do that against Ole Miss? It is at home. They are 6-3 now. Let's hope for the best. Let's see if we can get double-digit wins. And not only do we get double-digit wins, 45-14, this wasn't even a contest. Olivea, 4 touchdowns, 321. Van Manen, 128 on the ground with a touchdown as well. Verrett and Kukwa definitely led the receiving corps, with Johns with another touchdown too. It looks like our defense, 5 TFLs, no sacks though, but 2 interceptions from Marvin. Great game by him. But again, 1 more game before we end up facing our final opponent, LSU. But again, another trap game on the road against Missouri, 2-8. Come on, we got to win this one. And it wasn't pretty, but 17-9 is enough for the victory. Olivea didn't even have 200 yards, 2 touchdowns though. Man, and not a ton on the ground. I wonder what ended up happening. But at least we had 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, and an interception. Enough to hold them to 9 points. But let's go. Final game of the season. Can we pull off an undefeated season? It's a damn good question. We're facing 90 overall LSU. It's going to be a tough game, but they have lost a couple in a row. They're on a cold streak. Let's go out there and take advantage of that. But unfortunately, we're currently facing them in the red zone. No score. We just need to keep them out of the end zone. I can deal with 3, but not a full touchdown. That just means that we need to respond right away, right before half, because we need some points here just to kind of make this respectable. Let's keep it going. Not that the score is ugly by any means or anything like that, but still, it would be really nice to be able to get some points. It's not the kind of production from our offense that I was hoping for or expecting. Can we get it right there? Kukwa, there we go. What an aggressive catch. Gets it to midfield. And excuse me, that is beyond midfield. Just not by much, though. That's the thing. But let's go. Wide open. There's Kukwa, who's going to end up taking it out of bounds to the 23. Let's go. Let's keep this drive going right here, as we end up, unfortunately, getting that knocked out. They got in just a little too quickly, and it was just too much for us to get as we end up throwing it out there. Verrett gets on his feet. Let's go. Gets it all the way to the 7. So we're going to take 1 chance to run the ball here. Let's see if we can actually get into the end zone, as we do not get close. But all we need is just 4 yards right here. Just 4 yards as we scramble out, and we're just going to have to throw that one away, unfortunately. Now, we probably did have someone open, but I was afraid to throw an interception. As let's go, we end up getting the touchdown. At least we tie it up before half. But that wouldn't matter, as they would end up going up by a score yet again. And come on, we need a big score right here as we get it right to Lacumba 1 more time. And we got a tie game again. But unfortunately, it is up to us to pick up a stop, as they're down in the red zone with 1:43 left. We do have all our timeouts, so we might actually have to waste them right here. But it looks like they're wasting no time, even though a field goal wins it for them. But let's pick up the stop right here, as it's going to be a 3rd and inches. Now, we called the timeout just in case they change their mind, but let's go. Get him right up the mid. Oh, no, he was there. But unfortunately, he ends up getting in the end zone. I apparently switched to multiple guys, and I did not realize it. But that's okay. You know what? That ends up happening as we get it right out to Johns, but that's not going to be enough for a first. Keep in mind, we do have 2 timeouts, though. So at least we have something to kind of get to us, as no way that is going to be picked with 1 hand. Are you kidding me? There's no way he's going to score here, too. But even if he didn't score, they still ended up winning. And unfortunately, our perfect season is completely ruined. We lose to LSU 21-14. And here I thought that we had enough to be able to pick up the perfect season. But at this point, I hope we're just in the conference championship game. Thankfully, we are, and we're going to be taking on Auburn again, who is number 2 in the rankings. And I believe their only loss was to us. So I feel like maybe we should be a little bit higher, but 9-3 Oklahoma is number 5? I don't know about that. But now we need to go get a little bit of revenge for that LSU game. We've already beaten Auburn once this season. We need to do it again right now. And thankfully, our defense has been doing their job, as with just 2 minutes to go in the first half, we are up by 1 possession. hoping to be able to get a first down right here as we get Van Manen out to about the 20. And thankfully that would get us to a first and goal, and as you can see, Barrett is not covered at all, so we're going to loft it out to him. Oh, they might call that back if he didn't get his foot in. Thankfully they didn't though, and now we have a chance to start to put this away in the fourth quarter. So the 4th and 7, we need to pick up a stop as we get out to him and we get the ball back, which makes this 3rd and 8 extremely important as we need to pick this one up. As no, we're going to end up throwing that one out. That was definitely not the button I wanted to press. I think I don't even want to try to explain what I did. Instead, we're going to take the 3 right here, and we're going to go up by 3 possessions. And this would literally just put a cap on the game right here. 4th and 6. Come on. Let's just put them out of their misery. Let's get in there. Let's finish this off. Or we just let them get the reception. And they would get the score, but they need a lot to go right here to be able to win this game. And instead, we're just going to get this, and we're going to be able to run the rest of the clock out. Now, we should just kneel the ball, but I want to get Van Manen a couple extra yards. Or have him just get tackled for a loss of 1. Now, come on. One more shot at it. Why not? What could hurt right here? Right? Except for just losing another 3 yards. Just so we don't have to worry about anything else bad happening, let's just take the knee, and let's just run the rest of the clock out. And let's win our first SEC championship, which thankfully finally came before the end of the 6th season. Took down Auburn, but now we got bigger fish to fry. Don't get me wrong, the championship is extremely exciting, but we want that natty. As at the end of the season, Oliveira just missed 3,000 yards passing, but 28 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, not horrible. Van Manen did get over 1,000 yards with 9 touchdowns. Not incredibly impressive, but not bad. Barrett was our lead receiver with 809 and 9 touchdowns. And again, thankfully our defense picked it up. Adai and Ali, both with 7 TFLs. And of course, Ritzman, Ali, and Adai with the most sacks, 4.5, 4, and 3.5. Now, Marvin had 4 interceptions, McKenzie with 3, and a couple other guys with 2, and then Avery with 1. So again, I said last season we need our defense to pick it up, and they certainly did this year. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have anyone that was going to compare to Isaiah Flint. 3,900 yards, 46 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. And unfortunately, we don't even get a single award winner. But that doesn't matter. What does matter is we get an automatic invite to the quarterfinals as we're taking on number 5 Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl. And they ended up taking down number 11 Georgia, 43-42. It's going to be a tough game. Of course, you have Illinois and Utah down in the bracket below us, which means if we win this one, we're going to face the winner of that. Then we have Auburn, Clemson, UCF, and Oregon in the upper bracket. But come on, 3 games a win from Natty, but it starts here against number 5 Oklahoma. Again, we do have the overall advantage, so let's hope that that's going to make a difference. And thankfully, we have a chance to take our first lead of the game as with 2.5 left here, down in pretty much the red zone. We have a chance to hit that, and Johns is going to get up down to the 1-yard line. Even if that wasn't enough for a score, we're going to get that right here. Unfortunately, our line can't hold them. So one more play before the 2-minute. We're going to get right into the end zone right here if we could get that out in time. Instead, now with 2:01 left, we're going to get in right here. But they're threatening to score with 20 seconds left. They only have 1 timeout, so let's get in there and let's pick up a stop. And there we go, big sack. So keep them out of the end zone and keep them in bounds. That is going to be the big play here as we get through, but they have to throw it out of the end zone. And with 10 seconds left, they're going just for the field goal right now. It's only a, 33-yarder, but they hit it right down the middle. Thankfully, though, we continue to maintain the lead, and now on 3rd and 2, we run right up the middle and end up picking up the first. That will allow for another red zone opportunity. Now we have a chance to be able to pick up a little bit more, but not quite. I thought its catching traffic was better than that, but apparently not. But there we go, Lacumbo across the middle and only a couple. But one more time, same play. Let's get into the end zone, or we just throw that out. Now we should take the 3 and get the full 1 possession lead, but I'm being a little greedy. And that ends up paying off, although I don't know if he got into the end zone. They say he did, but unfortunately, 3 minutes to go, we're pretty much down in the red zone, and we need to keep them out of the end zone. We had what I thought would be a sack, but unfortunately, nope. They still got the ball out as they go for the RPO, and he's going to get in the end zone. Unfortunately, our guys just can't tackle, and we're down by 4. That's all right. We're looking fine. I thought he was going to break off him a little bit more. It looked like he was going to get good separation, but unfortunately, just didn't get as good as I thought. But thankfully, we have a first down up to Barrett. Let's just be smart here. Let's just be smart. as we end up hitting Kukwa, but unfortunately he drops it again. But hey, I can't be extremely upset. We know he's a freshman, so what can you do? As thankfully Barrett catches that for only 4. But it's not like we're not going for it on 4th down, am I right? So let's just get a little bit closer to the 1st down marker. As Kukwa gets it, he's got a bit more than that. Thankfully, that gives us a really good chance to go up here. Question is, can we get it? Oh my gosh, I thought that was going to be picked. Brings me flashbacks to getting picked off in that LSU game. But instead, thankfully, we still have the ball, and we're not going to even pick up that drag. Come on, we are better than this. I know that for a fact. And there we go, wide open. Barrett gets in the end zone, but we need to stop them now. We let them way too much time, and we only have a 2-point lead, so a field goal is actually going to win it for them. That's rough. And he ends up catching that for the 1st. But come on, a big stop is all we need. We have 3 timeouts. Just keep them out of field goal range as they go deep. Oh my gosh, I thought we picked that. Or he caught that. I couldn't necessarily tell. I thought we were there in the spot for the interception. But what can you do as they take the drag and they got another 1st. Now, we might need to get a little more aggressive now at this point. So let's get in there. Let's pick this up as a die. Oh! No shot! You dove for it and missed! And now we need a touchdown to win. Yikes. But we get a good one right there, and that is a great catch. Sorry, I held my breath on that one because he was covered, and I still threw it anyways. But it works out. No, what was that? Oh my gosh, thank you for aggressive catching that. As you can tell, that is not what we wanted to do. But that's okay, as he gets the release. Let's go! Barrett gets in the end zone! We're just trading touchdowns at the end now. And they only need 1 point, man. This is turning out to be a really great playoff game. As they go for the play action, I don't know who that was fooling. But no! No! Do not let him get a lot of yards. We're so worried about letting them get into field goal range that we just completely forgot about the quarterback. There we go. Way to swat that. Again, just smart plays. Don't let anyone behind you. And try to rush the quarterback as we get into him. How did he pick that up? No shot! No, just let him score. So we're blitzing everyone. We want them to get in the end zone so we have a chance to be able to finish this game off. Or they're just going to go for the 3 right now with 20 seconds to go. What? So let's go. We need a bit of a miracle of our own. Let's see if we can get it here as we just chuck this downfield. And there we go! What a catch! And we're in field goal range. Call the timeout. There is no way this is how this game is going to end. Do we get it? That is going to be the game. Are you kidding me? That is the most ridiculous playoff game I've ever seen. But thankfully, we come out on top against Oklahoma. And oh my gosh, our dream of a national championship is still intact. I mean, 36-35, you can't get more exciting to that. As Olivea, 380 with 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. We barely ran the ball, but hey, we needed that at the end. Lacumba with 3 touchdowns. I didn't see who ended up having 2. Our defense didn't really get it done, as you can tell by me trying to control them, but enough to be able to pick up the win. And that means we are 2 games away from winning our first national championship, as we have to take down Utah this week. And if we win this game, we're going to have to take down Auburn or UCF. We've already faced Auburn. Let's hope that it's going to be UCF. But again, we need to focus on this game against Utah. They're ranked higher than us, but that overall does not necessarily tell that story. Let's go out there. Let's get to the national championship game. And so far, it's been all us. Started the second quarter, 7-0. 3rd and 2, we just need the 1st down here to keep this drive going. And I would just need to pick up a score. Imagine going up 2 possessions here in the semifinals as Kukwa breaks the tackle and gets all the way down to the 7. That's the kind of effort we need to see if we want to win a natty. As we end up just kind of scrambling out, I wanted to throw that away. I knew we were getting pressured, but I thought we were going to have a little bit more time than that. As we had Kukwa again, gets all the way up and gets into the end zone. Big play by him. We allowed them to end up getting a safety, but we're still up by 12 now on a 3rd and 8. As we need to end up hitting him, but that is way out of his reach. Now, we both would end up scoring, so it is still a 12-point game. But we're getting close to closing this one out. 2.5 minutes left, and we end up getting in there. I thought he should have picked that. But actually, realistically, that didn't matter. It was 4th down. I should have remembered that. Just like this one right here, we just need to knock the ball down. or stop them, but thankfully they got a lot of yards to go. And it wasn't going to matter, and the Sugar Bowl ended up being easier than the Fiesta Bowl. We take down Utah 21-9. And we're going to the national championship game, baby. And it looks like we're going to have a rematch of earlier in the season. Two SEC teams going at it against number 4 Auburn. And this is what it's all come down to. National championship game against 86 overall Auburn. In terms of overall, I think this is one of the easiest ones we've had. But we know that Auburn's a really tough competitor. We faced them earlier in the season. And obviously they're still ranked kind of, I think, above us. Let's go out there. Let's take this dub. And let's get out of here with the national championship. And unfortunately, only 4 minutes into the game, and we're already playing catch-up. That is not what we want to see, but thankfully we end up picking up the first down to Verrett. We're going to have to do that one more time as we're facing a 3rd and 8 right here, as we'll just end up taking Cookwell up the middle for the first down. We always know he's going to be reliable, just like we always know that Van Manen is going to be good for at least 0 yards. Sorry, I thought he was going to get more than that, but apparently that was not going to be the case. But Lacumbo, pardon me, getting down to the 1 yard line. And even though I have that we're going to end up throwing here, we're just going to go for the draw. And let's just take the touchdown, maybe not. I don't know who the hell we're handing the ball to. Browning is definitely not a running back. He looks more like a lineman. And for some reason, he's the center and on the injury report with the torn labrum. But he's in the game running the ball. Where's our normal running back? We're not going to ask that right now. Instead, we're just going to have to focus on getting into the end zone, as we do almost right there. As much as we should take points in the national championship game, no. That's not what I do. We get it to Cookwell for the touchdown. And now we have a chance to do it again and put ourselves up by 1 score, as we just end up hitting Johns for 5. Now, it's not like we're necessarily going for deep passes here. We just need to keep the drive going and get a little closer to the end zone. Because realistically, these little first downs are actually not too bad. They help us out quite a bit. But now we're going to have to scramble, and we're just going to run for this one. But he can't get in the end zone. Apparently, Olivea is not as fast as I thought that he was. But thankfully, we pick up that one for the touchdown to Cookwell again. Now, Cookwell may be going to the hospital after this one, but still, that's okay. Now, 3rd and 8, we need to pick up a big stop. Let's get in there and end up getting him. Why did you go to that guy instead? I thought it was going to go to the guy that was closer to the play, but apparently not. 4th and inches, and they're just going to run it up the middle for the first down. We had the chance of actually getting out of that one, but unfortunately that was not going to be the case, as he ends up just taking it across the middle, and it's going to be another first. So come on, 1st and goal. We need to pick up a stop or a turnover, as they just run right up the middle, and they're going to be just short. So we got an empty backfield here, which means that they're just going to be going for the run, of course. I mean, we were all blocked. It's not like anyone was going to stop it, but hey, now we have to end up getting a big score before the end of the game. But we have all our timeouts, and so do they, and honestly, a field goal wins it, so we don't need to necessarily be crazy here. We just need to make sure that we end up picking this up, as that's going to thankfully not be picked. We hit the wrong guy on that one, and now 3rd and 9. We just need to pick this up, and we're going to get that to Cookwell. That's going to be a first down for sure. So come on. First downs, maintain possession of the ball, and let's keep this up as Van Manen gets up for a good 9.5. So one more run before the 2-minute warning. Again, we just need to make sure that we maintain possession and get into field goal range. And you know, before I was upset that we put Cookwell over at tight end. No! Oh my gosh, that scared me. Oh boy, now we got a little bit of an issue. But I was going to say a little upset before that we put him at tight end, but he's actually been a really good addition. Can we actually get him deep? No, that's going to get swatted. Well, let's go. I want to pick up a first down right here. And we're going to be able to do so. We're just going to chuck this downfield. Can he get there? Let's go! Let's go down to the 2-yard line. That is huge. I can't believe he made that catch. And now we need to make sure that we at least center the kick. I don't want to get in the end zone, but that was not centering the kick. But if they're going to continue to spend their timeouts, then we may as well just get into the end zone, as we're going to on this one right here. That is going to leave them a ton of time and 2 timeouts, but I feel like we have the advantage here. So let's get in. Let's pick up a stop, as that is a great pass by them. But it's not like getting into field goal range is going to help them. They need a full touchdown to be able to win this thing. And we need to, come on, get through there. There we go. We bull rush them and we get the sack. We just need a couple more plays like that to be able to actually put the exclamation mark on this national championship game as he throws it away, 3rd and 13. He knew he couldn't take the sack on that one. So now we need to stop him right here. Get through. Great coverage downfield. We get the sack and we are 1 down away from winning right here. So come on. Guys, go back there into coverage. Don't let anyone get behind you. And thankfully, that's going to be the game. We win a national championship with Kent State, and a team that went 0-12 in 2024 ends up winning the national championship 6 seasons later. It was a long, arduous road, but we found a way to get there, and we take down Auburn for the 3rd time this season and win a national championship, SEC championship, and again, become the best team in the FBS. That is such a sweet finish, and to do it against an SEC team makes it even sweeter. And with stats like this, it's easy to see why. Olave ending the season with 3,800 yards, 39 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions in his final season with the team as Van Manen came in. I knew he was going to be good, but I did not think he was going to have over 1,000 yards with 10 touchdowns. Barrett, our lead receiver, 978 with 11 touchdowns. Kukwa coming in the clutch there as a freshman, 720 with 8 touchdowns. And of course, Johns as a sophomore, 716, 6 touchdowns. And Lacumbo actually had a really big part to play on this team as well with 8 touchdowns himself. And the defense, again, getting it done. Adai and Brady, both 8 TFLs. Ali with 7, Ritzman and DeLuca with 6. And of course, DeLuca with 8 sacks to end the season, Ritzman with 6.5. And then Brady, Ali with 4, and Adai with 3.5. Of course, man, our secondary really picked it up this season. 4 interceptions for Marvin, 3 for McKenzie, as well as Eds, and then 2 for Yearby, Mayo, Stockton, and 1 for Avery. What a team. And again, a team that started off 0-12 in 2024. And even though you'll see on here, we had 1 win back in this season, but come on. We all know what actually happened this real season. But still, 1-11 to 3-9 to 2-10 to 6-6, getting snubbed out of a bowl game to a 10-4 finish, just missing out on the SEC championship, but finally bringing it home in the final season in 2029 with the SEC championship, the Fiesta Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the national championship. So even though they were the worst team in national football in 2024, they end up becoming the best team in the SEC and the one to win it in 2029. By the way, if you guys have any other ideas for other rebuilds or any other challenges, guys, let me know down in the comments. And again, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all very much for the support. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down and drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.